Tonight's guest is someone who is just a delight to watch, a delight to be around. Please welcome my guest for this evening, SaviSenpaii.
Oh, hello everyone. Everyone's having a lovely day. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Hello, Savii. It's so good to see you.
It's very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, by the way.
Oh, my pleasure. And folks, do let us know about Savi's audio as well. I hopefully have everything balanced with BGM and her. But yes, Savii. So you've been very busy lately. Just the other day, you had a 18-hour stream. This was not for a subathon. This was not for an anniversary or some special celebration. You just sort of had a impromptu 18-hour Dark Souls stream.
Yeah, that's okay, so I don't know why we do these things sometimes, but it seems like a lot of people categorize this as like endurance streams, and I think it's just because we get so excited with things. We're like, hey, let's do this, and eventually it goes from 5 hours to then 10, and then just to whenever we want to stop, and it just gets like, and it seems to happen pretty often.
Yeah, it's funny. I tuned into the stream before I went to sleep and just sort of left it on by accident because I was a bit tired that night. And when I woke up, you were still going. And I was like, oh, wow, she's been at this now for like 8 hours, 9 hours. Cool, good for her. And I tuned out, did some work and stuff. And then later that evening, I get a ping on your Discord server saying, just went offline 18 hours. Like, wait, you were on that whole time? So I didn't get to see the end of it. Did you end up beating the game?
Yes, we finally actually beat.
Yeah.
So apparently we beat just the normal story. Apparently there's more, and I was like, what? There's more. So apparently there's so much more that I need to do. But at least for the general story, it's done. So I was like, awesome. I mean, good enough for me.
Yeah, that's great. Also, by the by, I sort of jumped right in, didn't even give you a chance to introduce yourself. I'm sure most of the people in chat right now are already familiar with you, but for anyone who isn't or anyone who might be watching this after the fact, if you could please tell us a bit about yourself.
Of course. So my name is Savii, of course. I am, well, at least for my character-wise, I am a shape-shifting wolf girl for the most part. Can pretty much change into whatever I'm feeling like. I have a couple of models, but this is our current one at the moment, so I won't change too much. But we are a variety. Like I would say we're definitely like just whatever we like to do, like variety 100% in our content in general. And I guess it just depends on what the community wants to do or just what I want to do. So it's very hard to keep up with this if you ever want to just play one thing, and I always warn people that. But I'll tell you what though, we have tons of fun regardless. So yeah, it's just variety, fun, and just like our vibe is just about vibing. Honestly, we love to vibe, we like to hang out, and just I guess the big thing with us is we like to have a very family oriented kind of community. Everyone knows each other, everyone's close, and that's something that I'm really happy that we've been able to get. So yeah, that's pretty much us and me and my community.
Yeah, that your chat is a very interesting blend of just very calm and yet very gremlin. That the phrase gremlin here is absolutely one that is applicable. It's one that you have, as is being used in chat, a gremlin emote. But chat likes to antagonize you, as some people may have seen in the past week or two on Twitch. I forget what the extended version of the acronym is, but it's something that involves throwing. It lets you throw objects at the VTuber. I've seen it for a while. I remember Poppy had it a while back, but it seems the extension has gotten a bit more mainstream over the past week or two, and the acronym that's used is TITS.
Can you believe that, by the way? Like, I was talking about that and I was like, I'm surprised that they went with that. But honestly, at the same time,
I think that they were
community.
very deliberate about their choice there. I think that was completely intentional.
Like, it's so funny. It made me laugh the moment I saw that, and I was like looking at it and I'm adding it on and I'm like, what is the name of this? I was like, tits. I was like, no shit.
Real Switch Cat and R2 Leo have it. The Twitch integrated throwing system, tits. By the way, thank you. Thank you to Highwind Remix, RG No Nochibochi. I hope I got that right. Bacon Batowski and Bird the Robot for the follows. Yes, we have plenty of Savii Gremlin emotes in the chat. I saw some Padoru's earlier. I do love me some Padoru's. 'Tis the season.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I was drinking some water.
All good, all good. And R2 Leo, thank you for the follow as well. But yeah, your chat is very comfy cozy, but they also like throwing stuff at you. They like just messing with you. One thing that you seem to do, it feels like at least once a stream, is do a fake end, and you just sort of pretend that you're fed up. You go to your outro screen. You use the Price is Right theme song, which amuses me to no end. And it's just sort of, okay, folks, the stream's over. Bye. Da 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 da.
Let me just say this. So when I'm streaming and I'm doing stuff like, I don't know, like IRL, I feel like I'm not this so improv, but like when I'm on, like, I just think of like, what would make my community laugh? And sometimes my chat pushes me in spots. I'm like, you know what? That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like a mix of like, why the hell are you doing this? And also I'm like, what can I do to piss you off also?
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to fight back, but I know I'm not going to win since there's so many of you.
Indeed. But like you said, it's a very wholesome vibe. Definitely not family friendly, but family oriented, I would say. Of just that,
Yes.
people are there to support each other, and that even if they are, quote unquote, I say antagonizing you, that it's always in good fun, and you're playing off of them when you get, quote unquote, angry. That it's very clear that, when you're getting angry, you're actually just having as much fun as the rest of them.
Oh, absolutely. And that's always my thing, is that like, especially with me being older, just like in general, there's like, when I'm on here, like, I'm having fun. This is my, I like to tell people that this is my time to relax. This is my time to have fun. People, when I was growing up, they used to call it like TV time. This is like my time where I can just like do what I want to do. And I love it. I love it so much. When I discovered all this, and I got so addicted, and honestly, even 9 months later now, I'm still very much so addicted to it. And if anything, probably worse, probably worse than ever. But like, honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love this. I love my community. I love the people that I meet, and even new people that I meet every day. I want them to feel comfy and happy, and just feel like they can, after like the day is over, they can find a place that's theirs, and this is their place.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Joko the Sword and Luxarious Sin for the follows. So, one of your sort of central motifs, at least for this iteration of your shapeshifting form, is a drummer. That your intro screen is you playing the drums. You have sort of the punk rock outfit, and you also recently purchased an electronic drum set. I don't think you've broken it out yet, but I remember, I think you bought it on Black Friday, and you showed chat. You were like, guess what, chat? I just bought this thing. It's coming in the mail. So drumming is obviously something that is near and dear to you, both in character and in real life. How did you end up getting into drumming?
Let me see. God, it was so long ago. Well, so when I got into drumming, it was probably like, so God, it had to been when I was like 10 or something like that. I saw it in school and stuff, and I was like, I wanted to do something. I wanted to either play like some kind of like instrument or something, like, because me and music have always been like hand in hand since I've been growing up. My family is they were very like on the move a lot, and just like they were never really home very much. So like me and music in general, and this is all genres of music, just really hit me. It was like, that was like my friend. That was like something that I can vibe to and feel good. And I wanted to learn how to play these instruments that made me feel so good. So I think drumming was just something that I liked because I mean, I have a terrible ADHD, so I like to I like to tap things. I like to just like, I'm always moving around. So I felt like that was something that I can just really vibe with. And sure enough, I learned when I was younger. And then and pretty much that's it from that point. I played in a band for a while as well, but that was like years ago. But I just love it. I love music, and I love how it sounds.
So for the school band, I know as someone who was in school bands for, gosh, over 10 years myself, I play trombone. But percussionists in school bands usually aren't playing drum set, that usually they're doing one of any array of percussion instruments, timpani, triangle, bells,
Mhm.
xylophone. So for you, was your in-school experience on drum set, or were you in the broader percussion section?
I was in the broader aspect of it all. And honestly, I'm glad that you know that, because like when I say percussion, I'm like, oh, just drums. Like, no, actually, that's like the xylophone. I mean, which
It's
xylophone like is the
anything you
piano?
hit.
Yep, pretty much. Which is funny though, because piano is actually my favorite. And I learned piano from percussion because I learned from the xylophone, and
Yeah.
then I went from there to there, and it's just like it seemed like it's just like a big chain of stuff. And which is I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm glad I did that, because I'm very with having like such bad ADHD, which by the way, you'll probably see this in this interview a lot. I jump around a lot. So I apologize.
Remember, I've tuned into your streams. I'm familiar with it already.
That's right. You've already seen the mess. You've already seen the mess. Oh God. Well, yeah, I jump so much, but I like to I'm very, at least mentally, I feel like I don't like to be held down on certain things. I like to learn stuff. Even so, I guess jack of all trades, master of none. And that's but which is fine. I feel like I like to just broaden myself. So I'm glad I went to percussion, since it shows you so much. It shows you so much different kind of instruments, and then eventually I jumped into something else.
Yeah, and especially just over the course of any given concert, you're probably playing 3 to 5 different instruments, because like, okay, I'm going to be on xylophone for this piece, I'm going to be on timpani for that piece, I might be doing triangle for this one, and that especially when it's a school ensemble, that the directors are usually very mindful to shuffle people around. That if you were to do something professionally, you might have a specific instrument of expertise where, if you were to be in a professional orchestra, that you might just be the timpani player with a couple others. But for schools in particular, they really like to shuffle it around because they want the kids to be able to get those different experiences.
Oh, absolutely. Like I noticed that as well. And then I think that's actually why, at least growing up, I was like, well, I can't just do like percussion, because I was like, there were times like, oh, they want you just to do this. And I'm like, no. Like I kind of want to do like other things as well. And then that's where, so I guess it seems like anytime that I start getting put into a position for too long in one spot, like my brain's like, no, 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 let's do something else.
Yeah. And funny
It's
enough,
happened very much so.
while most people who aren't, really into music don't realize it, piano is technically a percussion instrument as well, because the sound is made by small mallets hitting the
Mhm.
strings on the inside of the piano.
Oh,
People just
yeah.
don't usually realize that, pressing the keys is what is activating those mallets and everything. So it's still all percussion, even though piano is very much its own beast.
Oh, absolutely. And it sure as hell is a beast. But let me tell you, it plays some of the most beautiful music ever.
Oh,
And like,
absolutely.
and I think that's why I love it so much. It's I like to say that it's my so like the yin and my yang. Like I'm wild and crazy sometimes, even though I'm softer sounding. Like I'm just in general, I'm very energetic and explosive with how I do things. But like the piano is so soft, and but like it can also be very aggressive as well. But it also just like it hits me sometimes. Like it's I almost like to say that it tells stories,
Yeah,
and
it's
it
a
just
very
like
versatile instrument, and just the fact that its range, just musically, is so broad, allows it to do a lot. Do you have a favorite piece to either play or listen to from piano, or both?
Um, so, and this is where my nerd side comes from. So, a lot of the times, I really actually don't even like lots of like, normal like song pieces. I mean, I could probably think of a few, but like, really, I like video game music. So, like, if you don't put
Oh,
like,
good. We're gonna have a good time just from that answer.
it's true though. It's true. Like, I mean, I remember hearing like the original Kingdom Hearts song on there, and I fell in love. I loved how that
Oh,
sounded. And
Hikari.
yep, yep.
Oh, one of my
Mhm.
favorites. Just the orchestral version of that is like top 10 all time for me. And video game music, for anyone who has seen my shows in the past, video game music is very near and dear to my heart. I was actually in a orchestra that just the entire repertoire was video game music. So I've done that. I've been to, video games live, symphony
Mhm.
concerts. So uh, I know the exact piece you're talking about. And Hikari is a broader orchestra piece, but it's also one that can be done on just piano. And definitely agree. Fantastic song.
Absolutely. And other than that, I'm trying to think. Oh, I remember. I also like I'm a big Fire Emblem nerd as well, and they have lots of good music in there as well. I'm trying to think
Ooh.
which one I like the most. There's one I'm trying to remember the 3DS game. Which one was that one? There's
Awakening?
one. Um, I want to say it was the next one after when they were in like the opera field. Oh God, what was it?
Oh,
Um, either way,
anyways,
the,
yeah.
yeah. I was like, if I could remember, I could. But my memory, as good as it is, sometimes it's also awful. It's like hit or miss. But yeah, music in general like that is just so pretty and like,
Mm,
and that's why I feel so when we were talking about models and stuff like that, like it hit me because my first model, it's of course not this one, is it was a cute little model and eventually she will come back. With my whole theme of things being able to like shapeshift and do stuff like that, I want to be able to change back to older stuff, newer stuff. But I think our general basis of how things are going is that, and I felt like I was starting to notice this after like I was done with her. I was like, look, I love music. I mean, if you guys are ever on my stream, you'll see that we have different styles of music every day. It's just how it is. And I love that. I love that. I feel like my models should match that. And if you've ever noticed that like different kind of like music styles just in general in the real world out there, um, anything from like hip hop to like rock to like different kind, just any kind of genres to like electronic, use just different styles of clothing, different styles of everything, and I love that. So I want my models to kind of match that depending on what I'm trying to go for, and eventually I'll be able to do that. Of course, that's if anyone knows, models are expensive, so in time those will come, but also it's just a time process as well. So eventually I think we'll have a bunch of different kind of models for different kind of music styles that have hit me in my own life IRL that I love so much. So I hope that I can eventually be able to show people this kind of stuff. But again, when I think about this stuff, I think about a lot of what can I do that's practical and what can I do that's right now, since some of it it's just not possible right now. But it can. I just need the time and the money. So we'll get there though, in time.
yeah. Of all the percussion instruments that aren't piano or drum set, which is your favorite to play?
It's not piano or drum set. So I play the guitar as well, but if I'm not doing my bass, I would probably say the violin. I love the violin.
Ooh, okay. I didn't know that you played violin on top of all this. That's a very different instrument. That's going, proper strings.
hmm Yeah, it's something about the clean, like I feel like violin has like this clean sound to it that just I don't know, it tugs at your heartstrings, kind of like my piano, but different. And it's
Mm,
like I don't know, it just hits me so nice that I'm just like I can listen to it and it just sounds like it's trying to tell me sometimes a sad story, sometimes something very sometimes very deep. And if you've heard any of my streams, sometimes after all of our craziness and stuff, we get deep about things like anything about real life stuff to just like just whatever. But it always turns into like more of a happier tone
mm,
because I like that. I'm just a deep person in general. But I like music that also hits that. So I'm just very passionate.
yeah. And Lynn Thiel, thank you for the follow. You mentioned Fire Emblem earlier as one of the games that has music that you really enjoy, but you also have told me that you just enjoy Fire Emblem in a broader sense, that you're someone who really likes strategy games, and obviously it is a very tactics-based game. Do you remember what your first Fire Emblem game was?
Yes, so unfortunately, and this is why I was trying to remember the name of it because I started late. I started late with Fire Emblems. I played the 3DS one no, I remember. Oh no, I take that back. My first Fire Emblems game wasn't even a real Fire Emblems game. It was the one for the mobile. The Fire Emblem Heroes. And
Oh
I was like, what
yeah.
is this? And I was like, Fire Emblems, like I think I've heard this before, but I was like, what is this? And it was smaller based, but I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I was like, what is like, and then I looked back and I'm like, look at all these games. And then I'm like, where have I been? Where have I been? So then I went backwards. And then I went, well, kind of. The farthest I went back was Radiant Dawn, which was with Ike and stuff, since Ike is my favorite character. I knew who Ike was. I just like, in like Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Smash
I
is really
never
what
played.
introduced Fire Emblem to the West as a
Mhm.
whole. Of just, Melee came out in 2001 before any of the Fire Emblem games had been ported, and people were like, Roy and Marth, who are these sword fighter guys, and it was shortly thereafter that the first Fire Emblem games were ported onto Game Boy Advance. But that's how most people got to know them, and over time they added more and more, and it's gotten to be a meme of, all right, how many Fire Emblem characters are there in Smash Brothers?
I know, and now everyone's like, oh, another sword character. I'm like, yes, another sword character. Stop crying. It's another Fire Emblem character. Shh.
At least some of them, use magic, and that they've varied it up a bit, and that Ike has his big sword, and Marth is faster and more finesse based. By the way, I looked it up. I'm guessing the first Fire Emblem game you played was Fates.
Yes, it was Fates. Yeah, I think I was getting confused because Fates has like the they have like two different versions.
Yeah, they go Pokemon, gold, silver, red, blue with that.
Oh yeah, I know all about that. All about those half and halves. I'm like the biggest Pokemon nerd.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that soon enough.
Mhm. I thought so.
But for Fire Emblem, do you have a favorite type of unit or class? Do you like the ones that are melee based, or do you prefer the magic users, the archers?
Let me see. So it varies. It varies. So I know in Three Houses, um, I'm a big fan of Edelgard, but I like her class with like the axes and stuff because I know that it's hard. It's hard because I have always liked tankier characters because I hated dying. I hated dying. I'm like, and of course, especially in that one where if they died, well, actually, I guess there's a version now where they die and they just come back. But I'm used to them where it's like if they die, they're done. So it's like I used to be like, no, I don't want you to die. So I would always pick like bulkier classes so they never died.
Yeah. And I definitely remember just, you send those in really as the vanguards, the tank, to sort of absorb all the hits from the little ones, and it's very satisfying when an attack hits and you just see that little no damage fly. It's like, yes, your attacks are futile.
I know. It's so nice. It's so nice because then at that point, I feel like, especially when they're hitting you, you're not really dealing with because there's always an aspect of chance. There's always an aspect of chance, just like how there's
Yeah.
in Pokemon and stuff. There's always this chance. So it's like you're mitigating that chance percentage instead of it, and now it's just being more of a stats based thing. And that's where I'm like, okay, good. If I can just mitigate that as much as possible, then it's less human error with that and more just like chance at that point, or other way around. Actually, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a particular level that you remember being either like really fun or really challenging?
All of them. I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
No. I'm trying to think. There was one. Oh, God, what was it? Sometimes they put you in situations and they're like, why? Why? But I know why. They're like, it's supposed to be like against the odds kind of thing, but Jesus.
Yeah, there
I
are
can't
some
think
that
of
are
the
just
name, but
feel
yeah.
outright cruel because, they will start you with your back against the wall and you have all these enemy troops already on the board. And then a couple turns in, there's going to be more. It's like, oh,
Yep.
come on. I just started clearing things.
Oh, I know. And you know what they get you is sometimes is that like you think you're good, and then all of a sudden, like just out of like the side of the map, there'll be like enemies that pop up on that side. Like, come on, randomly. I'm like, it's not even something that you see and you can plan for because it's unless you've done the map prior. But if you're new to that map, you're like,
Yeah, it's just
where are you coming from?
proper ambush. It's like, oh,
I know. It's like,
come on.
geez. I know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
So, and like I said, so strategy games are sort of something that you, I suppose, specialize in. That you are very much a variety streamer, as you said,
Mhm.
but I feel like overall your sort of tendency as a gamer is towards more strategic-based games. That you have Fire Emblem, you have Pokemon, as we'll get to, and even Dark Souls to a point is strategy-based because you need to be deciding, all right, what am I doing? You have to have a plan. It's not just a button masher.
Yeah, and even though it took me all the way to the end of the game to realize that, I was like, oh, because I've never played a Souls game ever in my life, so I was like, this is interesting. But yeah, and you know what the funny part is that like, those are some of my favorite games, but like until I think it was Shimogami that just came out, Pokemon that just came out, and then I think it was like Rune King that also just like I never streamed any strategy games on my channel. It was always just like because I also like fast-paced games like Doom Eternal and like and
Mm.
shooters. I used to be a competitive shooter actually. So I love shooters as well. But like I think strategies where I always go back to more later because it's more like it can be sweaty but not so sweaty and no one's gonna yell at me telling me that I'm garbage. So that's nice. Normally.
Well, just for a moment though, I didn't know that you were competitive when it came to shooter games at any point in
Absolutely.
time. That
Oh, I don't think I told you. My bad.
so when you say competitive, was it that you played a lot of ranked matches, or were you ever actually on a team for something?
I used to do tournaments for Overwatch back in the day. Back when I used to back before it was actually decent still. Because nowadays it's a little something else. But yeah, because I don't play anymore. But I used to do like tournaments in my area with that, and then I used to be so they had Grandmaster, which was like the max. I was a master. I could never get to like that final step. So I always compare it like if no one knows what that means, it's like how Apex has Predator, which is their max. I was like one
Mm.
lower. So which was fine. I had a good time with it. It was very strategic and it was a lot of fun. At least in the beginning. And now it's a little bit different. But the point is, yeah, I've loved shooters. It was something where I felt very good at. I just the problem with that was that like I was saying prior, is that toxic. The toxicity inside those kind of things is awful, awful,
Yeah.
awful, awful. And I used to play League, so trust me, I know what toxic is
Oh.
100%. Yeah, I used to play lots of League, but but the point is that like eventually, like especially as I got older and older, like I said, I'm almost 29 now, and I'm just like, all right, I don't want to get yelled at. I don't want somebody to start talking crap or, and they go to the extremes. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, this is a video game. So, and I think that's what like started to burn my lust for like competitive like shooters, especially because I
Mm.
know how people get. And I'm like, all right, all right. So at least with like my like competitive like strategy games, most of the time they don't even have like a voice chat. So all is good.
Yeah. And you and I are both sort of, as weird as it is to think being in our late 20s to be considered sort of the older crowd amongst the VTuber community, but at the very least, we can say that things have always been this way. That even when we were younger, things were super toxic when it came to Call of Duty or Halo. So
Oh,
it isn't
absolutely.
quite it's not a kids these days type of thing. It's just, all right, where are the trolls and toxicity at this point in time? They've always been there. It
Oh,
is a
absolutely.
generational thing. It is a constant of gaming and the internet. So, it just in our older age, we are wise and know how to avoid those areas a bit better.
Absolutely. And like I was saying prior with that is that I think I mean, well, at least for me anyway, I'm like there comes a time where after because I work like I said, I work two jobs after that and then I come stream and stuff. So like after that and then like stream and other stuff, like the last thing I want to hear is somebody just talking mad shit
Yeah.
about something, and it's not even like in like a playful matter because I like to shit talk a little bit when it comes to things like especially with my community and stuff like that. I'll tease and I'll do
Yeah.
stuff,
When
but
it's
it's
among
more in a
friends, it's
playful, yeah,
completely different.
right. But these people are like legit mad, and I'm like, okay, okay,
Okay,
I'm
calm
like.
down. Calm down, buddy.
Exactly. And they're gonna like get into a new game, do the same thing over. It's like almost like a hamster on a wheel. They're gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, are you actually mad? And if you are, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like, why do you want to be so mad? It's only a game.
Yeah. But on the lighter side of things, competitive Pokemon, as has already been mentioned by Metronui in the chat, doubles competitive of Pokemon. And like you mentioned, you were streaming Pokemon recently with the release of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Mhm.
And this was a little bit before I invited you to be on the show, but when I was already planning to invite you, that I was in one of your streams and you started talking about it. And I have never been a competitive Pokemon player, but I have casually followed the competitive Pokemon scene for a while now. That I'll usually watch Worlds when it comes around, and every so often I'll watch, some of the other high level tournaments. I don't keep up with the meta. I couldn't tell you what is good right now, but I know the structure of double battles. I know held items, natures, IVs, EVs, the basic building blocks, and even knowing that means that I'm much deeper in than the average player.
Mhm.
But you actually were full on competitive for a while, if I understand correctly.
Absolutely. I think the last like actual tournament I went to like physically was down in Texas regionals back when oh wait, that's right. It was right before COVID originally. So and then after that they like canceled off all tournaments, which I think they're back up now, but like I haven't
Yeah,
done
and they
anything
still
with them
had
since then.
a online circuit
Yep, I did all
for the
of that
past
too.
year that they've kept the competitive scene active,
Mhm.
but they
Yeah,
didn't
for sure.
have regionals and everything in the same sense that they usually had before. But
Absolutely. That's always been there. Like,
yeah,
I used to use Battlefly. I think that's what it was. And you used to be able to like do like tons and tons of island tournaments every week. And it was fun. So like, if you were a Pokemon fan and you wanted to battle like every week with other people, and I think you can still do that. And I just haven't done anything with it in a while. But like, yeah, you can go on there, you can put your name up there, and you can do a tournament, and you can win. Sometimes you can win money. Sometimes you can sometimes it's points for things because sometimes you can go and what is it? Is it gets points for like other events and other tournaments and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
yeah. Do you remember what your first Pokemon game was?
So my very first Pokemon game was probably the original, which is Fire Red. And that was like not the remake either. It was like the
You
OG
just
one.
original Red.
Yep, yep, the original Red.
Nice. My first was Yellow. I played Blue and Red on friends' Game Boys, but didn't get my own until Yellow came out. But I had that, and I've played every Pokemon generation since. Do you have a favorite generation, and that can either be for competitive reasons or just for casual play reasons?
So I almost want to say that. Mhm. So I want to say when it comes to like just overall, I would say that the third generation was my favorite, hands down. So I guess Emerald. And I think the reason why for that is because it introduced Pokemon Colosseum and XD, and that's my favorite Pokemon game. So it's not even part of
Ooh,
my island
okay,
game.
yeah,
That's
going
my
off to the side
favorite.
ones.
Mhm. Because it was the first game that had double battles only, and it was like in different kind of catchy mechanics, and it was actually had a darker tone to it as well. So like any games that have like darker tones, more of a serious kind of vibe of things, and of course maybe changes up the meta of how things are, like I'm sold. And of course, one of the big things with me, and this is the reason why I got back into Pokemon after a while, because I took a break for a long time. But I think with that one there, it was like they had like the Pokemon in 3D again, and like just like the regular
Mm,
Coliseum games, or not Coliseum, but stadiums. I
yeah.
love the
Oh,
fact that I can see them, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And then I fell in love with that, and I don't know, it's my thing. I love that. And once the games like on like the 3DS started to do that, I was like, I came back with it, and then ever since then, I started playing a little bit more and more.
yeah. I've never figured out why they haven't made more stadium games because not just the ability to, bring in your Pokemon, because we had that on the Wii with Pokemon Battle Revolution, but that's all it really was. It was just a 3D engine to play it in. But the mini games in stadiums, I remember just having so much fun with friends on those.
Oh my god, yes. You know, it's so funny that you bring that up because god, I think we're just having that conversation stream, like 'cause sometimes we do that in my stream. We'll just talk and watch videos and stuff. And I was going over some of those games and like some of the mini games, and I was watching them, and I was like, I remember that. I remember that. I remember. I'm like, and then in my head, I was like, God, I'm old. I'm
Like,
old, but I'm
I
like, I
just
love that so much.
I can't believe they've never actually made more because it feels like it could have been as big as a Mario Party thing if they ever really wanted to invest in that, but just for whatever reason they never really have. So kind of sad, but
Oh, I
we've still
know.
gotten some cool things over the years. The Coliseum games and XD Gale of Darkness were really cool. We have Legends Arceus coming up, which
Oh, I
I
cannot wait.
I'm really excited for that. I don't want to get my hopes up for something that is, Breath of the Wild level. I know it's not going to be Breath of the Wild, but the fact that they are even venturing into this new space is a very exciting thing to see because, to be frank, they don't do it often. That the last
I
time they really
know.
did it was pretty much Gale of Darkness. That we have some spin-off games with the mystery dungeons and whatnot, but mystery dungeon games have existed before Pokemon. That's not them
Mhm.
really trying to push something. That's almost a licensing thing, it feels like.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
with Legends Arceus, this could be a whole new thing. And just the one thing that I'm telling all my friends is, okay, don't expect Breath of the Wild. Don't expect it to be huge. That I hope the Pokemon community doesn't think that it's going to be enormous and then get disappointed, because as we saw, especially with Sword and
Mhm.
Shield, the Pokemon community is very passionate, and sometimes I think they expect a bit more than is feasible, because frankly, I don't know what your opinion on the matter was. Like, this is as close to controversy as I'll ever get on this show, but
Mhm.
I think that the fact that they cut stuff from the national decks was understandable, and frankly, I was
Mhm.
surprised that it took this long for it to happen.
Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. So you're right. You're right. So the Pokemon community is very passionate about what they want, and the reason. And here's the thing. And I will speak this out 100% with that. Is that Game Freak is lazy as hell. They're lazy, lazy, lazy. They're lucky that they have a. They're lucky that they have a game that people fell in love with, and it made this giant name for them. But again, I see it like this. Game Freak reminds me of like how Activision is, where like they know that people are going to buy their damn Call of Duties, so they don't know that they don't have to change
You're
very
not
much.
you're not wrong in that case, and that's part of what makes Arceus feel so cool, because they didn't need to do that. They don't need to stray
Mhm.
from their formula. So the fact that they
However,
are in and of itself is a good thing.
yes, and that's what bothers me though, is that like at least coming from a business, because like I run like a small business at things as well, and it's like I think to myself like, you know that if you ever take your brand somewhere else and do something, because they do spin-off stuff, but like if they do something and they really run with it, like how they did with XD and Coliseum, and they try to run it in the modern day, like they would do so much, they would make so much more money. But they don't, and it bothers me. It bothers me because they can use so much of their IP and they don't, and I'm like, why? Why? I don't understand. Like it's dumb moves. I'm telling you, it frustrates me. But again, I think about it like this: it's like, um, from a business perspective, they don't need to. They make so much off of their stuff, like whatever. So they
Yeah.
don't need to, and that's just how business is sometimes. Some people get so big that they forget. AKA Blizzard, my favorite company, or our old favorite company, and now I don't like them anymore. So it's like, and
Well,
unfortunately,
they have problems beyond laziness over there right now, shall we
right,
say?
right. That's yikes, yikes. But like, I just remember back in the day when they used to be the golden boys and things, or like they could do no wrong. They could make things that were like, it would be gold. Everything that they touched was gold. And now it's like they can't make anyone happy there. So it's like it's crazy. I see. It's like, what is it? How? What is it? I can't forget. Like I forget the saying, but it's more or less like they got so big that they just fell now. But it seems like
Yeah, that's either too big to fail, or you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain type of
Mhm.
thing.
Exactly, pretty much, and it bothers me because I'm like, fine. So I can't even tell people. I was like, oh yeah, I'm an ex Blizzard fan.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, give them a couple years, maybe they'll clean up their act. Fingers crossed. I want to be optimistic, not hopeful, shall we say?
Mhm. Absolutely, but you know, it is what it is. It's kind of just something I've gotten used to. I'm like, yeah, I guess here we are.
Yeah. But wrapping back to Pokemon, so doubles are the bread and butter of the competitive scene. That singles is
Mhm.
what most people associate with the game, because that's how you do most of just the main game. That there will be the occasional double battle. There was
Mhm.
triple battles for one generation. That was a bit much, but double battles actually is where competitive has lived for the past, I think, 4 gens.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's something that bothers me is that like so they do nothing but single battles with like it's almost like the story and the single battle, everything is like for the casual part, and then once you want to get into like the actual like meat and potatoes of things, it's doubles. And someone's like, okay, doubles, just put two extra Pokemon in there, or like one for each side. It's like, well, that changes up the whole game. Like it's like a whole different game. People don't realize that, and it's just like there's so much you have to be looking for, especially if you're trying to win someone when everyone's even on like an even playing field. I find it more exciting though, and that's why I like it. Like I'm not gonna lie, when I play like the story and like single stuff like that, it bores me. It bores me so much. So like the fact that I had like so the fact that I had like my community watching and stuff like that, that's what entertained me. That's like things that was making it fun for me. But like once the end game is there, that's when the game starts. That's when the game actually starts. But a lot of people don't realize that's like, okay, it's done, you put it down. I'm like, no, that's when you pick it up and you actually start making your stuff.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's different for each person.
Yeah, I never had the patience to go through and do, IV breeding or EV training and whatnot. So I never was able to get into the competitive aspect on
Mhm.
my own for that, but that's sort of how I fell into the spectator competitive stuff because, all right,
Right.
I get to see all the cool strategy and be able to analyze and understand what's going on without having to put in all that time and effort myself to train up the teams.
Oh my god, and that's the thing, that's always been the thing, it's been like it's just so much that you had to do prior to, like, set your teams up. It wasn't really even until some people would say Sun and Moon, but I would say that Sword and Shield was when it actually started becoming more, like,
Feasible
actually, yeah,
that
feasible
they
for the casuals to be able to actually go and compete because,
yeah.
like, they gave alright, so then they started doing mints, or was it? I wanna say it was mints, I think that so it's mints and bottle caps. The mints and the bottle cap system is beautiful, and I wish it should have been here, like, since the beginning because it
Yeah,
makes
that
it
was a
so that
really
you
cool
can
thing to
compare.
see. That
Mhm.
just the uh what's the phrase I'm looking for? That it lowered the barrier to entry and it was a quality of life improvement. That's the phrase. That for the longest time, for people who aren't familiar, EVs and IVs are not the Pokemon EV. It is the letter E and the letter V, the letter I and the letter V.
That's good.
IVs are inherited values, and for each Pokemon, at least starting, I think it was in Gen 4, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Savii, but that there is a level of variation to a Pokemon's stats, and that IVs can range from 1 to 31. And based on that is just that sort of like a band of, I don't know, 10-15% of how high or low the stats can go. And that is generally random. But through breeding, you can make it so that the parents pass down IVs to the others. And then it is possible to eventually, through iteration, breed something that has perfect IVs. EVs are
In
effort
theory.
values where you have to train and beat certain Pokemon, which will then give your Pokemon more points upon level up in specific stats.
Mhm.
And these were things that way back in the day were sort of mined and discovered by the community. That I remember when I first learned about it, I was like, holy cow, how did people find this out?
Oh, I know, right? And it didn't, and they never really made it very obvious at things. But like, that was always the hard part. There is that I'm not sure really what they were trying to do with all that originally. But like, and this is why I was saying like, in Sword and Shield they changed a lot of that because like, think like, so I know in Sun and Moon it was getting easier as well. They started adding more items to make it so it was like more feasible for things. But like I said, the mints and the bottle caps make it so that you can start with the new bred Pokemon after you finally get it to where you want it, or it's like maxed out in certain areas there for EVs and IVs in there. You can actually go ahead and either change the natures because sometimes you need to change it for a specific nature, and sometimes you also have to change up like for instance we were talking about like getting the right points in the right areas there. Well, now you can just give them certain mints and certain things like that, and it'll just go all the way into that, and which honestly makes it so that it's less having to find that battle because just like you were saying, sometimes you have to go and like because back in the day you had to go and like have Pokemon fight a certain kind of Pokemon, and and that Pokemon would give you points into that. Now if and if you ever strayed you can get points into like one specific thing or the other that maybe you didn't want in there. And here's the thing, Pokemon in general, especially once you started, especially back in the day, and even a little bit nowadays, a lot of people will have certain Pokemon of the very same type. So pretty much you would see like the lineup of people in worlds, and would always have like the same kind of Pokemon. I mean, there would be different variations of things, but like it would always be the same. So if your stats are lower than theirs, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose, even if it's not by 1 point, especially if it's in a speed stat.
Speed.
Mhm. Yep. Especially if it's in the speed stat, but even in the strength stat and stuff like that, or depending like attack or special attack, depending on what you're trying to go there. Like if you are down on 1 point and you didn't kill that one by 1 or 2 HP there, then like that could have made it or break like the game right there, just like that. And it's like it's all stats, it's all stats. But at the same time though, that's why I like it, because it's all numbers. I love numbers. And
Yeah.
I love to be able to like vary in things and stuff like that. And that's so much fun.
And that's one of the cool things about Pokemon, that if you're casual, you can just pick up and play the game and you don't need to know that any of these crazy things exist. But if you're into it, if you want to get into the stat crunching, if you want to get into the numbers and the breeding and the EVs and the
Mhm.
IVs, that there is that depth hidden beneath the surface. And I think that's been one of Pokemon's greatest strengths, that even if, you know, broader game design may not be as innovative from generation to generation, that the under the hood mechanics
Mhm.
of combat is very fleshed out and very thorough, and it's been something that from the beginning you've been able to manipulate and work towards if you knew what you were
Right.
doing. But now more than ever, it's more accessible, and it's something that you can actually do with a little less time investment and a bit more openness. And that part, I think, is a good chunk of why the competitive scene in particular has continued to be so strong. Because, to be honest, even without the competitive scene, Pokemon would still be a success. But the fact that they have really fostered that competitive community, that they
Mhm.
have good high level tournaments, that they put in nice production values for their worlds and their broadcasts, that they bring in
Mhm.
really competent shoutcasters, it's helped bolster the game to be that much more.
Oh, absolutely. And like, so I've always seen it like this. There's like three different kind of like, there are three different kind of communities inside the Pokemon like atmosphere. I would say you have the nostalgic people that like to play the game. Usually they grab it and go, and then they pretty much like maybe pick it up occasionally and stuff here and there, but then they'll put it down. Then you have the shiny community, which is actually like its own thing in itself. It's like breeding and trying to catch certain Pokemon and try to get them in shiny forms. That's just how it is. I never like that, but
I certainly
I
don't have the patience for that. I've seen some
Mhm.
people, especially recently, like they've been trying to get shiny starters, and the way the game flow works for the starter in Shining
Mhm.
Diamond or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl requires like you to go through the little cutscene with Rowan and everything. I think it's Rowan in this one, and
Mhm.
but with the professor. And so for each attempt at a shiny this time round, it takes like a minute and a half as opposed to the usual. If it's for a legendary, just save right in front of it, hit the A button once you're in, and go. But like I've seen people spending over 24 hours trying to get shiny stars, and like, how do you do that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think I have a friend on that's on right now. She might have gotten off, but like, they're still doing that. And in my head, I'm like, I'm already done with the game. I'm already done this and this. I'm just like, geez. But honestly, though, people watch that. They love that. It's almost like I kind of consider that as like, how should I say it? Like, you know how people just like not gambling, but like, well, kind of. It's like they like hope. It's like that adrenaline whenever it's like it starts to happen.
Yeah,
It's like
just
an excitement, and then it
yeah,
drops.
that
Excitement,
little
and it drops.
moment
Mhm.
before the Pokemon appears where you're like, is this the one?
Yes, it's like, is this
And
the
it's
one? Is
just
this the one?
that little hit of adrenaline, and even if it's only once every 2 minutes, getting that little hit of adrenaline, and saying, all right, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to get that, almost at the point. And I think that's a really good thing. I've never thought about it from that perspective before, but that makes sense.
Absolutely, because like I was thinking gambling, but actually kind of like slots, because people pull the slot thing and it waits one, two, three, and then it's like, and you get that excitement, especially if it's getting close, and then it's like,
Hmm.
and most of the time it's like, oh, but like, but
But who
people
knows? The
watch that.
next pull could be a jackpot.
Mhm. And that's it. And that's how people do things. And it's just like like a bad example, but in general, it's like that's how people like that's why they do like so many kind of like gambling things. It's like they're like this could be the one, this could be
Yeah,
the one. And
I
that's
suppose
why people love it.
on the sliding scale of gambling, at least you pay for the game and you're not paying per slot pull on this one. That
True. Very
you
true.
can get that gambling fix for $60 for hours upon hours. What good value?
Absolutely. And again, you're also just watching someone do it too, so you get to see their reactions and stuff. And also,
Yeah.
so like I said, I've only been streaming for like 9 months. So like, I never streamed any kind of like Pokemon stuff or anything like this. So like, I've never seen this before. But like when I was watching my friend, like, Savii, who was doing all this, or she was, people just talk and chat and just vibe,
Yeah,
and that's just
it
how it
does
is. And that's
facilitate
awesome.
just chatting streams pretty easily because you don't really need to be mentally engaged when you're
Mhm.
shiny hunting.
Absolutely. And it's just like after a point I feel like it just becomes like background, you know? And
Sort
then
of.
and
Yeah.
something and some people kind of like see that and then kind of just like as you're talking and stuff, you kind of just like vibing with everybody and that's awesome. And like it just gives you more things to do in the background.
So then I assume that your third classification would be competitive players.
Yes,
Now, before
100%.
we get to competitive players, I would argue that there is a fourth community that is not mentioned in those other three, and that is Nuzlockers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that they're there. I've never done one before. I don't know how they like
I
that
haven't either. I
community.
love watching Nuzlockes because
Oh, do you?
that's a really cool sort of strategic different thing. And for folks who aren't familiar with Nuzlockes in Pokemon, that is a playthrough with self-imposed rules, and it can vary depending on the streamer. But the sort of base set rules for a Nuzlocke Pokemon run is that first, if a Pokemon faints, it is dead. You put it in the PC and you can never use it again. You have to name all of your Pokemon because it helps you grow even more attached. And the big one that ends up being a super just restriction on everything is that you can only catch the first Pokemon that you encounter in any given route. So if you accidentally make it faint, well, you've just lost it. You aren't going to be able to get a Pokemon for that one. And some will put in a little clause saying, all right, if it's a species that you already own, it doesn't count. Others are very strict. Like I said, there's a bit of flexibility, and some people have variations where, they want to go even harder. It's no items can be used in battle. Others will say, I can't train my Pokemon to be a higher level than the next gym leader's highest level, or something along those lines, to make it so they can't just grind to make it so they're super over leveled. And there's a whole community based around that as a style of play.
And I actually forgot about that. The Nuzlocke, I mean, there's definitely there for sure. And actually, now that I think about it, I was wondering, I know that they've added this mechanic. I think they added it in like, I almost want to say it was in Sun and Moon, but it could have been in Sword and Shield as well. But they have like this friendship mechanic now where like you can dodge things, and you can do like, I call it like the power of friendship freaking mechanic, and it's only in the story mode. Thank goodness, because
If it was in competitive,
it
then
would be a mess.
it would be like tripping in Smash Brothers Brawl.
Oh my god, that'd be awful. That'd be absolutely awful. And that's the thing, was that like I don't know how they do things now with like the Nuzlocke now that they have that, because it kind of puts it at a weird like
It can put
disadvantage.
an extra level of variance on there. I hadn't actually thought about that, because they've had the friendship mechanic in since Gen 2 with the move Return, but for a very long time it's just been that there is this hidden stat of how much your Pokemon likes you, and that can influence certain evolutions. That with Eevee to Umbreon and Espeon, you need to max out friendship during night or day, and that there's the move Return, as I mentioned. But you are correct that in the more recent generations, there is also these things where, when it goes into battle, there's going to be flavor text that says, Piplup looks at you and smiles, or Piplup tried extra hard and got a crit. And there are these things that partially can be flavor sometimes, but sometimes actually influence battle.
Oh, absolutely. Like, there was something that happened during our Elite Four run that we did, and I was like, there's a couple of times I was just living just because, like, I don't know, it was like, I didn't want to die. I was like, thank God, which I needed it. But like, at the same time, I was like, this has never been a thing prior. So it's just something where I was like, must just recently gotten added. I mean, like, it's fun for the story, I guess. But like, I never thought about it in like a Nuzlocke aspect, though. I'm not sure how they do it.
I hadn't either, actually. That is a very interesting twist. So wrapping back to competitive, which generation was the first one that you got engaged with competitively?
Let's see. I would say probably Mega Ruby and Apple Sapphire. And that's when I kind of got started. So that's when I started to like kind of like dip my toe into it more. And then probably after that I was Sun and Moon, and then just pretty much from there. And then Sword and Shield I think I did the best in, but then that was it for a minute. And it was only for the first part of the season. And then COVID hit, and then I played a couple online tournaments after that, and then I was like, I couldn't do it anymore. There's just too much going on.
Yeah, definitely understandable. You've said when it comes to competitive that you like dabbling around in a lot of different things, but that your favorite type of strategy and team is a trick room team. And for the folks at home that don't know what a trick room team is, could you please explain?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing I think you need to know when it comes to like, especially with like competitive stuff, is that speed is king. That's pretty much how they see it. It's like the faster you are is usually how you're gonna win normally. With trick room stuff, that's always gonna be a little bit different because it's like, how should I say, the moment that you can get a Pokemon that pops trick room, like your speed swap, so it just is like this whole like, so if you're the fastest thing, now you're the slowest thing, and it's going to be like that for about 5 turns. So you have 5 turns to be able to pretty much cause some chaos, and that's pretty much what I like to do at that point. There, I like to make slow teams, super slow teams, which usually they usually use so a lot of the Pokemon that they have in there's like the slower mons usually tend to have like are either really bulky or have lots of damage usually. So I pretty much make like big tanky nukes. So in theory, it kind of falls into how I do my Fire Emblem stuff. Right?
Yeah, I was about to say this. This is going back to the Fire Emblem of make your big tanky things that are less likely to die, and you're correct that those are usually the slower ones because for balance reasons that makes sense. But Trick Room just says no. I'm going to have it all for 5 turns.
Oh, absolutely, and that's my thing. I just don't like dying. I mean, hell, I used to be a big raider back in the day in WoW. I used to do like mythic raiding and stuff like that with like big teams. And I used to tank. I used to be a blood DK, so I used to love tanking. I just don't like dying. I don't like dying. I just like I
don't know many people that do.
I don't mind like sacrificing a little bit of like speed or a little bit of or like I strategically I'll try to make it so I can min-max it, but usually I like to be more into like that defensive route so that I can kind of do whatever I want. So so I'll try to make it so I can max out to that point and then pretty much just like boost as much attack so that I'm still viable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's and that's how I've played most of my games.
Do you recall any of your, favorite team compositions?
It really depends on what the meta is during that time. Because I knew when Sword and Shield came out, I was using a lot of like Dusclops, which is my baby still. To this day, I love him because he uses like UV Light, which UV Light's a really cool item because it makes it so that, because Dusclops has another, I think
it's Dust Noir.
Yeah. And if you give him, and so he already has some pretty good stats, like defensively wise, but if you give him that, he'll get even more special defense and defense. So he just becomes like this big wall. Like honestly, like even in Sword and Shield where there was like Dynamaxing, I mean, unless you had there's a certain Pokemon that could one-shot it, but for the most part, you can even one-shot it like that, and even with a special attack move, or a super effective move, I should say. And that was something that was very interesting. So it made it so that I felt like I could always pop Trick Room most of the time. There was certain situations, but like I loved him. Plus, he was a ghost type, so. The reason why I like ghost types as well is because sometimes some people try to use certain moves like priority moves and stuff like that. Well, you also have certain priority moves where like for instance, like let's just say someone's about to hit into you on a move that like is like fighting or like a normal move. Well, if you use like an ally swap, or maybe they think you're gonna use Trick Room instead, but if you use like an ally swap, which is another move which makes it so that you swap places, which is a priority move, so that means you're gonna go first most of the time. So it means that you pretty much just swap the position with your other mon. You can just totally mess up the game there for them. So they're hitting into a ghost type that if
has immunity.
Yep, has immunity to all of that. So now your Pokemon pretty much gets a free hit, and it's like it's these little mind games that just. To be fair, even though it sounds mean, I like to bully. Like when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's like I was just talking about being toxic and stuff like that. I was like, look, I don't like to actually be toxic, but like with my gameplay, I like to be toxic.
All's fair in love and war.
Absolutely, like we're playing a game of thinking, like this is a thinking game. So it's like if I can do ways to be able to win and be able to do it in style, I'm going to, and that's just me. And that's just how I play these things. But like, and that's why a lot of people don't like Trick Room. They don't like Trick Room people, but I love it. And I think maybe it's because people don't like it that I like it. I'm like, yeah, awesome. I'm very much a rebel. Yeah. I'm very much a rebel.
Hey, if the game developer put it in, it's not toxic. It's a legitimate strategy.
Oh God, I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
It's like, it's toxic. It's toxic. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm not cheating. What are you talking about? Oh my God, yes.
Oh dear, Metronui says that you were a bit of a bully in Unite as well.
Possibly. Possibly.
Pokemon, League of Legends, that since that one fortunately doesn't have TeamSpeak and whatnot, that
Oh God.
toxicity I would think is a bit less. And that sort of reminds me, I'm not sure if you follow Hololive at all, but one of the members of the second English generation Hololive Council did Pokemon Unite on, it was like her second or third stream, and she was just wrecking people. And there was this whole meme of Sarasvana double slapping people because she was using Wigglytuff, and that's a very fun one to go back and watch, because she's
Oh
this
my
this
God.
very soft-spoken
Mhm.
VTuber, and she was like, "Oh, I feel kind of bad, but I'm slapping them anyways."
What's funny is that it's funny that you bring that up, because anyone from my chat, whenever we were watching or when we were still doing like Unite, that was the joke. They're like, "Oh, Savii just enjoys beating up 9-year-olds," and I was just like, I would tell them like, look, they gotta learn sometime. Because I was
Yes.
playing Gengar, and I was playing back when he was still before he got nerfed. I don't know if they've ever fixed him, but like I would just go in there and just I would execute him and then like run out, and they're like, "What happened?" And I would always get like the most kills on there just because I would be waiting for them, just
Mm,
hunting for them, just being super toxic. But it was fun though. It was fun. I had a good time.
yeah. And once again with Ghost there. So would you say that Dusclops is just your favorite Pokemon? Forget about competitive
Mm.
stuff. Which would be your favorite?
That's hard. That's hard to say because it varies.
There are a
Because
lot.
yeah, because I like when it comes to ghost types in general, I think are my favorite. I just like the lore behind them. I like the creepy aesthetic. That's my thing. But at the same time, I also like the aesthetic of the dragons as well. I also like the cute aesthetic of the fairy types as well. So I am that's why also I like my models the way that they are, because they're all different and they all have different
Changeling,
kind
in
of
that you're
preferences.
able to just be whatever you feel.
Yep. I
Yeah.
hence not being held down by things. I'm a free spirit kind of thing. But I have different moods of things. I love being soft and cute with things sometimes, and I like things that are like heavy and strong and very independent by themselves. And then I also like things that are kind of loners and that are like darker and mysterious things. So it just varies on my moods and varies on things. But God, I don't know. Like I know in this generation with this one, I love Garchomp. Garchomp's my favorite,
Oh
hands
yeah.
down. But
Garchomp was an absolute menace in
mhm.
the generation that it was released, and for the several after that as well. That Garchomp, I know, was a staple on several Worlds teams, and just in general was considered the uber OP Pokemon outside of legendaries for a very long time.
Oh, absolutely. And you want to know why? It's because, well, first off, anyone wants to know dragon type Pokemon, especially without fairies, of course, back in the day, because fairies wasn't a thing for a minute. Really, dragons have extra stats compared to most. However, their move pool is very odd. But here's the thing: is that you're giving a dragon type stab, which again, we didn't talk about this prior, but he's dragon and ground. So if he uses earthquake, which is
Earthquake.
100, it's 100 damage, and again in doubles as well, which is also very good, and you can make comps with that. And he has stab, so if Pokemon can use Earthquake, that's great. But if they're not a ground type, they're not going to get that extra damage.
Yeah.
So,
So for folks who aren't familiar with the competitive jargon here, STAB stands for same type attack bonus. So moves have a base power, but if the Pokemon is of the type of the move, that it gets 1.5 times damage base, and that's before all other calculations. So you can have a ice Pokemon use a water move, and there's fighting type Hitmonchan has all the different elemental punches and whatnot, but that when it uses Thunder Punch, it's not going to get a same type attack bonus. But if it uses Submission, it's going to get same type attack bonus.
oh, absolutely. Now, a lot of people will still have those moves in the back. Like for instance, sometimes, for instance, they're great example because I was talking about fairy types. So fairy types are strong against dragons now, and they came in I think X and Y, I think, or something like that. I never played X and Y.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah, it was X and Y that, because for the longest time, dragons, in addition to having extra stats like you mentioned, were only weak to dragon and ice was not a very big competitive type.
it's fragile. It's
Yeah,
fragile, and that's why
yep.
people don't like it. Mm-mm.
And just dragons versus dragons meant that there were a lot of dragons running around, and Game Freak kindly finally caught on there was too many dragons, so they made fairy, which is just outright immune to dragons.
Yep.
And it has helped a lot that it has definitely balanced things out and added an extra layer. And it's weird to think that for as many Pokemon as there are, and for as many changes as there has been to the just the composition of the series, that there's only ever been 3 new types. There's only
Oh, I know.
3 types added from the original Red and Blue, and that's Steel, Dark, and Fairy.
I almost want to say, that, well, adding a new type, everything what changes like tons and tons of the game. But like, I've also kind of talked crap about Game Break a little bit here, but I think that they just don't want to deal with that very much. I mean, unless for some reason they feel like they need to for some reason, and I think that's the only reason why they made Fairy type was because
they
realized
had to
everyone's with
really
dragons.
that. And to be fair, most things are pretty balanced, and when you have 16, 17, 18 types already, you're generally going to be able to balance things out. And that it was they realized, all right, dragons are a problem, so we're going to do something we don't normally do and make this new type to specifically address this particular problem in the meta. And I think it worked very well, but it's a type of thing that I like that they don't add a new type for every generation just as a gimmick or something, because then it gets super unwieldy, because there's already a lot of types, to be frank. And I think that it's good that Steel and Dark was very much created to counter Psychic, because Psychics run
Back
rampant in Gen 1.
Yes,
Because dragons weren't even a problem, because there was
Mhm.
only one dragon family, it was the Dratini family, and there was only one dragon attack, and it was a fixed move attack, so it didn't matter anyways.
Yep, it was awful. It was awful, and that's the thing, was that it was a different time back then, though, I think. But like, it's funny that you say the steel types, because like, as I was just supposed to bring that up. That's why I brought up like the fairies and everything else. Like for instance, like with that Garchomp there, like you can have different moves on Pokemon, and sometimes you use them as backups, like in the sense of like Garchomp just has Steelhead, which is which is like an 80 hit move, but it's a Steel type move, and he can learn it but unfortunately though it's an egg move, so you have to do that whole process, which that's another thing.
Oh yeah, egg
But like,
moves. Ugh.
yeah, egg moves are annoying. And honestly, anybody that wants to do any kind of like breeding, I would say this: please make sure that the move that you're looking for is not an egg move first, because if you make that mon and you do all this time just to find out that you still need to breed it again to get that right egg move, you're gonna be mad.
Yeah, you're gonna have a
get
bad
pissed.
time.
Exactly. But yeah, and you can use that stuff and it's super effective against fairy types, and you can have that in the background, knowing that like you may have that, but like if that Pokemon's weak in defense and you have a super effective move on them, you can still knock them out. So it depends. It really just depends. Everything changes, and the meta changes every season. It changes it up, and depending on like what's available. Again, we were talking about like deck stuff. Depends on what's available to the decks immediately, because not every Pokemon is available. That's another thing. I hope you
Yeah.
like, depending on what game is out, like for Sword and Shield, only certain things were there, so that meta is going to be different compared to what it was last year or whatever, so it's all different depending, and you just have to flex yourself around it.
And they've even been doing variations on mechanics that, if memory serves, in the upcoming or possibly ongoing at this point season, that Dynamax isn't allowed, but you're allowed like one Pokemon from this selected list of legendaries. So they've done different things to sort of tinker with the competitive scene from just a actual composition standpoint, in addition to simply what is available in the game. And going back to types for a minute, my favorite type is Steel type, and a lot of it goes back to what you said earlier about not wanting to die, because Steel is such a cool defensive type that it's got a ton of resistances, a couple of weaknesses. My personal favorite of all time is Metagross. That I love.
Oh, you're one of those.
Steel
Oh,
Psychic. I think it's really cool. It's a freaking, supercomputer tank. It's not the most popular Pokemon out there, but I know it's a very popular Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely. He's very popular. And I want to say it's because he's different. He looks different compared to like his design is just different compared to like a lot of things that are out in this universe. In this universe with like Pokemon and stuff like that, like some of them just look like they need to be in here, and the other ones he just looks weird. Like, but not like in a bad away. He just looks different. Like maybe he was meant to be in a different game. But like I like that though. I like that, especially if you've seen his Mega Evolution. He looks
Oh
like this
yeah, then
weird
it's like
like
this like crazy
he looks
laser
like a
cannon
fortress.
type
Yes,
thing.
yes. He looks like a fortress monster thing. I'm like, what is happening?
Also,
I
you
love
said,
it
"Oh,
though.
you're one of those." So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what is your opinion of people who like Metagross?
Like, I remember, well, because I was telling you, because he came out in the third generation, if I remember correctly.
That is
So
correct.
there was
Yes.
like this heavy hype for him, like, and like there's like there's like people that stand for him like that. It's just like they love him, so much, and it's just, like people are like Metagross, my baby, right there. I'm like, but then again, I feel the same way when I talk about like Garchomp and stuff. I'm like, no, 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 that's my baby. It's just it's one of those like I just remember it because that was the one that I paid attention the most time in. Is that like, and there were people that just loved it and just flocked to it, and I'm like, it's not that great. I guess I was just being a hater, I guess.
It's all good. It's all good. And it's funny because third generation isn't my favorite. That my favorite, for nostalgic purposes, is Gold Silver. I sank so many hours into that game,
I
and
was just
just
about to say something about that as well.
uh,
I would say that for like a not even competitive or anything else. I guess like my favorite kind of just like aspect of it, because one that hit me growing up was Crystal, because it was the first time I can actually be a girl. And I was
mm,
like, finally, like for some reason I mean, I didn't really think about it too much growing up with it, but then I was like, the fact that they let you have that option, I mean, just in this
yeah,
premiere, I love the case. If you ever had that case, it looks so pretty. I wonder if I still have mine. It's like this really like pretty looking case too. It's all shiny and
yeah. That
stuff. And
it's this blue sort of transparent thing, and it has the sparkles that they played into the crystal aspect the whole time. And like you said, it was the first time you had the option to be a girl, which, like you said, it's not something you think about, but at the same time, once you get it, it's like, well, why didn't we have this earlier? And
right.
that's, a
Mhm.
symptom of, unfortunately, stereotypes in gaming. But I'm glad that we moved past that, and
Oh,
over the years, now we even have, skin tone variants, and
oh,
there's
absolutely.
there's only 4 variants, and there's more than 4 variants of skin tones, but it's still, without having a full-on character creator, that it, 4 still gives you a good breadth of palette there.
Mhm. Yeah, and that was my thing too. Like, I mean, growing up with that, I like, God, like, this is gonna show my age with that, but like, let's be real, like, that wasn't really a thing. Like, you just play whatever character you had. I mean, nowadays you can do tons of different things, customization, everything, but like, back in the day, you just played whoever was there. Like, that's just like whatever that
Yeah.
main character was, and
And I
that's
suppose
how it was.
part of it probably also is a product of the time, not so much.
Just like limitations and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, equal
Mhm.
parts of product of the time and stereotypes of who's playing games, but also a product of the time in
That's
what is
right.
technologically capable. That, being able to build out good character customization tools might not have been something that was technically feasible, or at the very least, not something that would have been easy and practical to include when
Mhm.
you're working with, these games that are on these small cartridges with who knows how little memory.
Oh, absolutely. And you actually hit a topic that I'm always very passionate about. You're talking about that demographic and stuff like that. Like, and that's the thing is that like there's always been so especially nowadays, like and I've seen the atmosphere of how games and how like the environment is. And hell, I go to cons or well, I used to. You just go to cons and everything else, and there's many women there. I would say so. It's like there's many girls there that love to like get involved in these kind of things. Like some of my best friends that are on like this platform are like fantastic gamers, and they're also like, I mean, great women that are just like they pretty much grew up with gaming and stuff like that, and that makes me happy because in my head, like I remember growing up, that was like, and hell, that's actually why I'm limited with a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I'm just catching up on nowadays, like being where I am now, because like I wasn't allowed to do the things that I was like I really wanted to growing up with that. And it was just something that you just notice that, and nowadays with culture and stuff and how things are, it's a lot more flexible where it's like, yes, you can do this and so can you. And I like that. I like that. There's no like you can't do this because you're this or because you're that. It's like no, that's not
Yeah,
really as much of a thing.
for
Now, granted,
sure.
I know that people some people judge that, of course. Like some I see some of my friends, and sometimes people, will come into chats and stuff, and they may say something. It's usually just a random, but it's just like I know that stigma sometimes is out there. But the best part is when they get shown up real freaking fast, and I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
and
oh
that's when I'm
yeah.
like,
That's what.
it's like, yeah, shut your mouth, shut your fucking mouth. You don't know, you don't know. And it's just like, but honestly though, it's like it's nice to see that flexibility with everyone, so it's really good.
Yeah, and like you said, that obviously girls have played games since the beginning. Anyone who does not think so is stupid. But just because partially of marketing and partially, like you said, sort of societal pressures that girls for a while felt like were sort of discouraged from games. And certainly there is very well documented history of guys not being good stewards of the community. And that is something that exists today, that things are certainly better than they have been in the past, but there are certainly things that can be improved.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's always been something that I've been other than like gaming and stuff like that. Like it's funny because like I do games because I'm catching up with things such as like I've never really done lots of single player games because I'm usually stuck in I was stuck in the multiplayer world. Anything from like competitive stuff, like from shooters of course to MMOs. I used to be huge in MMOs, like competitively wise. I've always been competitive. But like now it's like I don't do any of that really, not really. It's funny because I've shipped as a person when it comes to like games and stuff in general, but like other than the gaming and stuff really like another part of my channel that I like, and this is actually like half of my other content I have is like music and chatting. Well, not as much music yet, but a lot of chatting, and we talk about tons of things, anything from like how people's days are to like content creation. We talk about like life stuff, problems, mental problems. We talk about tons of things. I'm almost there to become. I'm like right on the cusp of finishing up my psychology degree. So like I talk a lot when it comes to like mental health, a lot of different kind of other things like that. I love to pick people's brains. I love to go over like honestly, you name it, it's probably been talked about. And I love that. I love that. And on this platform, as long as you know how to present stuff, you can talk about whatever the hell you want. Like, trust me. And it's like, that's the beautiful thing about this whole thing is that, like, Twitch is just one of those places where you can be who you want to be all the time. As long as you have a mental and stable head, you can talk about whatever you want, whenever you want on here. And it's lovely. It's lovely. And if people would fight that, trust me, trust me, some of the stuff we talked about, I've seen people get banned off of, but it depends on how you present it. So it's just like, and honestly, I love that. I love that. I love to be able to talk about things that people feel like is taboo, because it's not. It's not. It's all about how you do things and how you don't side things. You always have to be on the fence. You have to be able to see both things. You have to be able to be open-minded, as one would say, and that's something that I've always tried to make sure that people are aware of, because I love to have a very open community with things. That's why I like to try to make it so that we have when people come in, I'm like, everyone is welcome. I don't care who you are. I say that anything from boys, girls, trans, mental, different changes, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I want everyone to know that as long as you are a good person in your heart here, that's all that matters to me. And we can talk about whatever. And the moment that people start getting swayed on that, I'm like, look, this may not be the place for you. But then again, we don't necessarily see that too much here. And that's the good part about it, is that we can have these talks, and I rarely see anything where it's like someone's like, oh, don't you see any flack? Nope, I rarely see anything. And it's just because I think our community is very well versed with that, and that makes me really happy. Like, honestly, you have no idea. Like, it makes me so happy that we're able to do that and have this kind of like community that can do that. And it makes me feel like I got the goal that I wanted to originally. And I don't know, it makes me so happy. So, and I just hope that nowadays that we can expand and grow and hit different kind of places that we haven't yet. And that's why I like my variety, because like every spot that you go to, no matter where you go to, is going to have a different kind of community, especially inside of like Twitch. Like, you go into the music community, it's going to be a different community. You go into like different kind of games, even in different games and stuff, like maybe like one game this and one game that, it's going to be a different community. So I like to just see what kind of communities are out there, and just like in general, just like mix and match and be able to just in general bring people here just for I guess like one of the big goals is like I know I'm decent with whatever games or whatever that we play, but at the end of the day, when I'm looking at like other VTubers and other friends and stuff like that, I respectfully, of course, I don't mean this in a bad way, like I don't necessarily care exactly what game you're playing. I actually watch, and I really watch out on what people are doing. Like I love like people that are passionate about stuff, and people that I know are genuine, and those are like, honestly, I love that. I love that. And I love that you can find so many different kind of people on this platform. Like, you can just go for like 10 minutes and look at and find like 10 different kind of people on here that are just like so passionate about what they're doing. And it makes me so happy. And it makes me feel like I'm part of a community that I can really stand for. And that's why I always really try to anytime that I have an opportunity to like try to help people or do what I can for our own community and also for others out here, I'll try my very best to do so.
Yeah, and for me, that a lot of that of what you just said is why VTuber Talk exists. Is that just getting into the VTuber community? Obviously, I'm not a VTuber myself, but sort of falling into the rabbit hole. And I've been a gamer for ages and ages and ages since I was really like 4 or 5, and but for the VTuber community in particular that I hadn't streamed before, I decided to start VTuber Talk because I saw just the breadth and the passion in the VTuber community, and I was like, all right, how can I do something to be involved and give back without quite being a VTuber myself? And this was the answer that I ultimately landed on. And one of the really fun things that I've gotten to do over the past almost year now is just by virtue of having this show, I have to keep digging deeper. I have to keep finding people, and
Mhm.
I'm not even consciously trying to vary my guests. It just happens naturally. And that all I
100%.
do is I bounce around channels, and like you said, the key word is passion. That they have to be able to entertain and just command the attention of the audience in one way or another. And there's a lot of different ways that people can do that. You know, Captain Krabs is someone I've had on. He's very family friendly streamer, DJ, but also does art and games. But family friendly is his bread and butter. He has this super cute design. I've had Poppy on, who is one of the loudest VTubers you will ever meet.
Oh, he sure is.
He is crude and crazy, but heart of
Mhm.
gold.
Yep.
And like one of the ultimate entertainers. I've had people who are idols on. I've had people who are ball jointed dolls on. I've had people who are, fairy princes.
Mhm.
And no matter what, that all I'm looking for in a guest, all I'm looking for when I'm trying to just have a good time on Twitch is someone who's passionate and who's able to show me that they are having as much fun, if not more, than the people in the chat.
Mhm. And that's
And
what it's all
yeah,
about. That's what it's all about. It's all about just like, I see this platform and I look at it, and again, like I was saying prior, like Twitch and stuff like that before this, like before 9 months ago, I didn't know shit about it. I've never seen it. I was always like, I was a YouTube kind of girl. Like, if I wanted to know something, I would go on YouTube, I would go and type that in, watch that video, be done with it, and that's me. And I always want to know like knowledge. So like in the sense of like, I like to learn things. I like to learn about history. I like to learn about like how to do things, and that's, I mean, hell, a lot of the times learning some of the instruments I learned online was just like on YouTube. And my thing is that like that's what I used to do. So like I didn't know anything about like communities or anything else prior like that. But it always looked kind of interesting though. Like, and then now I am I'm in it now, and I'm like, honestly, I'm obsessed with it. Like I love it. I'm actually a little bit like, I slap myself on the wrist the fact that it took me this damn long to get in here. But at the same time though, it's like it's the little things in life that pretty much make us who we are now with things. But yeah, it's this place is so like, I don't know, it's it is a real eye opener for people in the sense of like, you can do whatever you want. And I like to say this, if people ever had a question, you can just look at like how I used to do things. Like I said, again, I didn't know any of this. Still still I struggle with like knowing certain people, but I know who I am as a person, like IRL. Like I am took a long time, like a lot of like had to like trial and error just my life. But like I know who I am as a person. So I know what I like and who I am and how I'm gonna act. So on here, on this platform, if you just do what you like on here, like, and just truly believe in it, and you're very passionate, people will follow. People will want to watch you. They want to watch people have fun. They want to watch people do things that they've never seen before. And that's the things that I like to do, and just I like to look for as well when I'm on here, is that I like to just find people that are like, this is what I like to do. Even if I don't know shit about it, I'm like, I'm gonna learn real fast because I can clearly tell that this person is just like all in the money for this. And like that is just so fun to watch. And in general, in life, was always trying to find things like that. I was always trying to find like more people to watch, more people to talk to about things that they're passionate about. Like IRL, it was hard for me to find that because I was always like, I just always say like, my ADHD sometimes would throw people off. I talk a lot and sometimes a little bit like all over the place. I mean, if you see my model right now, if you, I jump around a lot. I do this. Like IRL, my hands are moving around a lot, and that's just how I am. However, so sometimes I can be a little bit strong to people that are just like right in front of you. But here, like you can in a way in a way I treat this kind of like a podcast, in a way with like how I do my channel, minus the fact that I do different stuff of course, but like it's but I like it like that. I can be myself, I can do the things that I like to do, and slowly but surely I found a community that also likes to do the same things and vibe with us, and in our own little part of the internet here we are doing more and more each day, and it makes me so happy. And anyone else that stumbles upon us, I'm always feel so blessed that I get a chance to meet them. And that's something that I'm truly passionate about. I love people. I love people very much. And that's why it's like anytime that I get to not only like help my community, but also be able to help like others as well, people that I find that are working their damnedest, and just, you know, if I can help them, if I can raid them, I can do whatever, like whatever under the sun, to make it so that like they feel good and they're happy and that they feel like that they can get on each day. Because I haven't brought this up yet at all yet, but in the VTuber community, let me just say this, is that this is one of the fastest like growing and also one of the fastest like dropout rates of like creators I've ever seen ever in my entire life. And great example is I've seen just in my 9 months, I've seen multiple people that I used to watch that I actually used to look up to that are just gone. A lot of it is because of like I mean, the demand for things sometimes can be so fast and can be so like this and this and this, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Granted, mentally we think that we need to be in a certain spot and be here and be at this point by these few months, or else we're not going to make it. And it's just like which is not true at all, but like I guess it's just one of those things where it's like if I can support and keep people that I feel like maybe I think are gonna actually do something amazing one day, or just in general just to keep it so that our community is wholesome and healthy, I would say. Because just like you said before, like I cuss, I swear, and like I'm a bully with things, but like I love people and I try to support like as much as I can. So I want it to be a fun and exciting area for people, but I also want to make sure that if there is parts of our community that is maybe a little bit more a little bit toxic, I would say it's a little bit less of that, because this community to me has shown me just in general as a person who I am so much, and has made me a better person, has made me more open, has made me more like made me more me. And that's something that I want to get back to. I think I can never get back enough to the people that have supported me, and yet I try each day, but like I'll never think that I'll be able to even get close to where I think I am, where we're even. But like, you know, it's something where I just feel like I'm so internally grateful for things, so I want to make sure that I can help others to make sure that they know that I see them, I love them, and I want them to do great things.
Yeah, that just, well, actually, before I forget, TDI293, Sigrid and Bird, and YFrog23, thank you for the follows. One thing that's come up with a couple of my past guests, which you sort of touched on there, is the rapid ascent of VTubers. And VTubing has existed, if you want to go as far back as Kizuna, has been around for about 5 years now, a little over 5 years. But for a very long time, there was a high barrier to entry that you needed very specialized equipment. It would usually be in 3D, and you needed all these peripherals and whatnot, a special camera and something, and it was not something that was accessible to mainstream people. But over time, as technology's improved, not only did the tech become more viable, that you can just run it off of a phone or something, but the combination of the technology becoming more accessible, along with the popularity of some bigger VTubers, Hololive in particular, VShojo in particular, Niji-Sanji in particular, and then synergize all that with the kerfuffle that was 2020, where everyone was inside and had a lot of time on their hands, and combine all that and you get lightning in a bottle. And it really came to a head, I think, with the debut of Hololive English, when obviously the VTuber community had already been on the up for most of the year, but that moment it just went into overdrive. That the number of VTubers, the number of VTuber fans, the number of people getting models of their own really skyrocketed, and I think that was sort of the inflection point, so to speak. And like you said, that there was a lot of people who sort of rushed in because they saw then it's like, either I want this to be in on this big thing, or just, you know, I'm really bored and this makes me feel something that I haven't gotten in a while because I've been inside all year.
Mhm.
For me, it was tuning into the whole live debuts and seeing chat going really fast. You mentioned conventions or conventions. I love conventions. I work conventions because I am an extrovert. I love being around large groups of happy people. And what is a
Mhm.
convention if not a large group of happy people?
Oh,
Plus, I'm
absolutely.
just a nerd on top of it all, so I'm legitimately enjoying myself
Even
anyways.
better, even better.
And after, you know, 9 months of no conventions, suddenly seeing a chat moving at that speed, it was the
Mhm.
closest thing I had felt to being at a convention in months. And that is just one part of what really hooked me in. But at the same time, like you said, a lot of people jumped in, not necessarily realizing the demanding nature of being, let alone a VTuber, a content creator. And I think that is part of why, like you said, there's been a lot of adoption, but a lot of dropping that, to use sort of a business term, there's been a high churn rate. And you're right, we have seen a fair number of people drop out. And yet, I'll admit it's been less than I expected. That around June or so, I was predicting that we were going to see something of a VTuber bubble where, more and more people were starting up. And I was thinking that we were going to hit a time where there was going to be something like a mass exodus. And I expected that to happen somewhere around fall. And I was wrong.
Mhm.
I've mentioned this, like, people can go back. I don't remember exactly which shows, but I've predicted when talking about this same topic with previous guests. I was like, I think we're going to see a span of a month or two later in the year where there's going to be a lot of people who have just decided, all right, I tried this and I realized it's not for me. And to be fair, stopping can sometimes be the healthiest thing you can do. That if you
Mhm.
realize that content creation isn't for you, if you realize that, you don't have the either time or energy, or sometimes it's just that the type of organization is not how someone's brain works, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And realizing that something might not be for you can sometimes be healthy. It can mean that you don't push yourself into a worse place or burn out even worse.
Oh, absolutely.
And I expected there to be a a month or two around, you know, fall winter where we'd see a lot of graduations. And that has not happened. Yes, you are right. There have been a lot of people coming and going, but it hasn't felt like there has been a huge bursting of the bubble. And that might still happen and could happen next year for all I know. But the fact that we have gone this long and it's been,
Mhm.
I would say, relatively stable has actually kind of impressed me. Also, thank you very
Right.
much, VTuber Xantharius, for the raid.
Let me just say this really fast, is that like being in like the flow of everything, in the sense of like what we're doing right now currently, and between just right now on Twitch and on YouTube. Let me just say this: we have not even gotten close to even gotten anywhere near that bubble that you were just saying about that. I think if there is a bubble, it won't be here until about 2023. So statistically, because we've only hit maybe only a portion of people when it comes to VTubing stuff. Great example is so I have a couple of friends that are so let me just so not saying that this is the only spot where they're at, but like the normie group, this is what I like to call them. And they're I have a couple of friends that are just there's some VTubers that are in there for like RP and stuff, for like GTA stuff right there that I have that, and they have that's a normie like group 100% I've seen with that. And what I mean by that is that like they don't know anything about VTubers. They have a different mindset of how they do things, in the sense of like their games, their stuff. I used to call them like I call them like this. They're like the people that like when you have like a normal Joe Schmo job there, and they're like, so what sports are you about to watch today? And what are you doing? This like the normal stuff that you see with every other person that I felt like you see out there in the IRL world. And they're never actually going deep inside of like the my nerd stuff, the anime stuff, the things that like I feel like I've been so commonly like adjusted to for so long. But yes, the normal you, I would say, there is so many of them compared to us. It is crazy. And hell, there's so many people that don't even know what a VTuber is yet still. Like for instance, like when I joined in on all this, I had no idea what a VTuber was. I was like, what is this stuff? And I actually thought it was kind of weird at first. And then slowly but surely I was like, I fell in love with it. But like it took me a little while, and I learned this year about it. So like, and that's just me. And I already was already inside of like that nerdy kind of field of things. So there is so many people that have not even
Yeah.
seen us yet.
And we
And
haven't hit the mainstream that we I think we've hit mainstream nerdery this
Mhm.
year, but we haven't hit public consciousness yet. And you may be right that one, I don't think VTubers are going anywhere. That VTubing is now just another type of content creation. Really, it is a filter of content creation, because the way that I explain it is VTubing is not a genre. It is a peripheral. It is any normal YouTuber, any normal Twitch streamer, any normal TikToker, content creator, what have you, but that as opposed to showing their face, they use a virtual avatar. That is the only definition that I attach to being a VTuber. And that can be a PNG. That can be anything that is a representative of the content
Mhm.
creator that is not them. And
Right.
that I think we are going to eventually get to the point where it's going to be bigger and bigger. And you might be right that maybe we'll end up seeing the bubble a couple years down the line. But even if when we get to a bubble, I think it's very clear that VTubing is here to stay, and that even if there are fluctuations over the years,
Mhm.
I think we are far from the ceiling.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially with being being a giant VTuber stalker, since that's what I do a lot most of the time when I'm not working. I love the visuals. I almost want to say this for people. So some people do listen, like just I've heard from my own streams that people like to listen, and sometimes maybe they can't watch, like, but they're listening. But a lot of people, they want the visuals. They love this performance that is happening on the screen. Like I don't I disabled some of our stuff prior, and I was telling you about that. But like sometimes like with some of my emotes and stuff, but like some people like this show, this, like, for instance, if you see some even like the high end, I call it like high end, or even like some of the streamer, like the higher end VTuber streamers that have like the show, whenever they press a button it toggles like this amazing effect that happens there. People love that. People will never want that to change there. And like, for instance, I even have stuff like that. It's different emotes and stuff that change whenever a joke gets hit or something else gets hit, or it shows a different kind of face, and it hits. And it's something that, like, people love that. People love that show. They love how it looks, and it's just like it adds that extra like depth to it too as well. And for me personally, like, I know, and this is going to lead into what I'm saying here. I For the shorter end of this situation here, I joined VTubing because I was in a darker place back in the day with things, and I was not having the best life in the world, and I needed to escape somewhere a little bit, in a better spot, and I didn't know where to go. And I was like, and I needed something different in my life because things were just not going very well. I don't know if that's just like, I don't know if it was because of the situation, or if my PTSD was getting a little bit worse due to my military stuff. But it was just like my anxiety was going through the roof. I don't know what it was, but I needed an escape, and it was like,
I think everyone needed an escape in 2020 and 2021. That just, even for that, if you have PTSD and if you have anxiety issues, all like, baseline, that's one thing. But also, just, I feel like everyone has had a stressful past 2 years, and for people who have PTSD or anxiety, it's only been worse. And I can sympathize with that, and I know a lot of other people who are very much in that same boat. That it's been a time these past 2 years.
right. Well, what I was going to lead with that is that, like, from what I've seen from a lot of people, and it's not always like this. It's not like you have to have a sad story to get started, but I've seen a lot of people that when they were starting, and they wanted to get through there, it was to find something different out of their own life, that they wanted to get away from the IRL self, in the sense of like, they wanted to find a different kind of like community or vibe, or just want to be something different themselves. This is something that I've seen constantly inside this kind of like community, where it's just like they want to be something different, or they want to live a different life, or hell, they want to find someone that's going to want them for who they are as a person. And that's something that I can get behind, like, 120%. That's something that like, that's why I joined originally, was so that I can maybe get a family that I never had, like in like the real world of things, and then like get a change. And now that I've gotten that like tenfold. I've been wanting to make things better, and now it's like we're going to content, we're doing other things, and that excites me as well. This is something that I've never, at least for me, I have done many things inside my life. Like, I've been an engineer my whole life. I've also, like I said, companies and run all that. I've done all this, but excitement stuff, no, no way. This stuff bores the hell out of me. But this, what we're doing here, all of this, every day I get on. I mean, you were saying something about the 18-hour stream. Why is that happens? Other than the fact that we get wild and crazy on our streams, which we 100% do, but it's because I love it. I love it so much. I'm addicted to it. I want more. I want to do more. The community that I'm with, I want to spend so much time with. I want to this is something that in my real life living, even though I'd probably make way more out there, which I definitely do, it's like I don't like it. I hate it. Like, being able to wake up in the morning and be like, this is like, I'm so excited to do this, instead of being like, "Ah, another day." Like, that is not living. That part, the I don't want to wake up in the morning with that part because this sucks. Like, that is not living. But this part where you're feeling like you're energetic and wanting to just expand yourself, not only yourself, but with your community in general, that is living. And this is something that I feel like I've been missing for so long. And I think that's why when some people are like, "Wow, you're on for a long time, don't get burnout." And I always look at them like, "You have no idea. I'm not even close to anything and never will." I don't think I will with that because it's just something that I'm so passionate about. I don't think about these things. So I know that some people think about, like, there's lots of stuff on this platform that I'm learning because I'm still new. So there's still like, I try to dig into people's minds. I'm like, what do you do when you get on here? What do you do whenever you're, what are you thinking about? I've talked to people that are similar to me. I've also heard people that are like very like, "Oh, I need this number, I need this, I need this." And I'm like, "Oh, no wonder why you're getting burnt out, because you're starting to get to that point where you're thinking about this and this." And don't get me wrong, I understand that some people do because of a job with that, but that's what happens with that, is that like then it starts becoming like a normal job on the outside, and it's like eventually you will get to that point. So I think to myself that, like, for the content creators that are out there, learn yourself, learn the things that you want to do the things that you're so passionate about there, and don't ever think about anything else other than just having a good ass time with your company. I just said, with your community. It's something where it's like, when you do that kind of thing, time just melts away and you just don't even realize that this is happening. And then just all of a sudden you you look back one day and you're like, "Oh wow, look at all the people here that want to be here for you because they love you and they love everything that you're about." And that's something that I'm very passionate about. So like I said, as 9 months is almost here creeping by, I'm thinking to myself, like, I wouldn't change
It's
anything
been
for
a
the world
good
now.
9 months for you, Savii.
Yeah, I've been happy. I've been really happy. And don't get me wrong, like, again, I do emphasize the fact that it's like I've never seen this prior, to let people know that it's like you can fall on your face as much as you want. Trust me, I still do it every day to this day because I'm still baby when it comes to that stuff. There's still so much shit that I don't know. And like, right now we're still in a bit of a transition stage with like how our content and how things are working right now, and how things even look. Just because I don't know artists, I don't know people that like that can do animations. I don't know this. I'm learning, but like I don't know this stuff. So, and hell, when I first started, when we were talking about like models and stuff right there, for a while, I used a free Vroid that I had on there and just kind of just went with that for a while, just to like, get my foot in the water there. But
Honestly,
the
I think
point,
that's the most practical way to start.
Mhm.
That you know, like you said, just sort of dip your toe and get in the water a little bit, but that way you're starting without a lot of financial investment, that you can experiment and see, all right, is this for me after all, and sort of take that chance without having the financial investment. Because one of the worst things you can do is, go all and be like, all right, I'm going to pay someone to develop this really nice model, and then I'm going to pay someone else to rig it really well, and I'm going to get a stream deck, and I'm going to get a high quality microphone, and then I'm going to do this for 3 months, and then I realize, oh gosh, this isn't for me, and now I'm out over $1,000 or more, and
it's so funny that you
that's
say that.
terrible.
One of my friends that I talk with about like tons of this stuff with, they had a friend that they were working with, because they actually help with they help with people on the outside with all this with like VTubing and stuff. And they were saying, yeah, there's a girl that, and I forget what name it was with her, but like she did like the model, she did everything else, she did like thousands of dollars, and then just she did her first debut, and I think she might have did one more, and then she quit. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, there was something about like she thought that she was never gonna hit the numbers that she did on her debut, and just like, I don't know why she thought that, but in my head I'm like, that is a terrible way to
Well, that's an
think.
entirely separate issue of just number watching is not a good thing. That's
Mhm.
entirely separate of just realizing that, okay, content creation might not be for you, but yeah, all very real hazards there.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's so here's the thing is that on this platform, depending on what you want it for, because again, everyone can do, like, again, this is the beautiful thing of what we do is that you can do many of things, like you can do this part-time, you can do this like every once in a blue moon, depends what you want. But if you want full-time content creation, that's where things get a little bit picky. And I know that some people, they're like, well, you have to do this stuff. It's like, well, here's the thing is that there are things that you might want to look at later when you're done streaming, but a lot of people look at this stuff while they're going. And here's the thing, that is like that is like a big no-no. That at least I feel like it's like people look at that and mentally they get into a spot, maybe you aren't hitting your numbers the way that you wanted to there or whatever, and it puts you in a bad mental state. And if that continuously happens there, you get to this point where you're like, is my stuff not good enough? If this and this, like, why aren't people watching? And here's the thing, there's many a factor. Like, since this is considered like the entertainment kind of like field with everything, people, there's so many different factors sometimes that like you can't control what is happening sometimes. So the best thing that I always say to things is just do what makes you happy, and just when you're on, have a fucking blast. Don't even think about anything else other than you enjoying yourself, and like the people will come. And that's pretty much how that works with that. Because again, you try to worry about that too much, you're going to get yourself into this depression pit that eventually you're not going to be able to get yourself out of. And I think that's why some of my other friends are gone. Because I remember some of their conversations, and as much as I was be like, girl, don't think like that. And I understand that. I understand like sometimes the concern. It's like you want to, but don't. It's like, just do you, and do the best you there. Don't follow trends. Don't do this. Follow you. What does you want to do? What do you want to do? And do it the best way that you know how. And expand and explore yourself, you know? Like, don't get stuck in a rut either. Like, if you want to do something else, by all means, do it. I mean, like, some people once upon a time used to consider me just as the ASMR streamer, believe it or not. And I used to hate that with a fiery passion. Honestly, still do, honestly. Like, not saying that people do anymore. People just say that Savii the soft-spoken person. I'm like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. But like, I used to do lots of ASMR before. The reason why, believe it or not, was that I used to when I got on this platform. I mean, here's the thing: the way I'm talking now, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. This is what you get. This is what you get, and that's how I am. However, I know it's a little bit softer. I know it's a little bit more quiet. And I was and even to this day, I'm just me as a person. I just don't like how I sound. I think I sound like rubbish, and just how it is. But it's a mental thing, I know, but it's something that I'm working on, and as the days get better, it gets less and less of a problem. However, when I first started, that's all I thought that I could do, because I was like, well, because I know in ASMR there's a softer, like, there's like whispers and stuff, and in my head I was like, okay, at least I can talk to people and people won't find me weird. And that's just how it was at first, and I know that's a lot of self issues with there, but again, I've gotten out of that. I was like out of that mental state. Not necessarily saying that I won't do ASMR anymore, because I was actually thinking about doing an after stream today, because I feel bad that I haven't done it in like 2 months. But because there is like actual like some comfort that comes in with that. But the point is that like with me telling you prior, with me being like a free spirit, one of the things is that like when someone says, oh, that's just this person right there, I know they don't mean anything bad by it, but like in my head, I'm like, I can do more than just that. And it's just like, that's something I'm 120% on, where I'm just like, I don't think I was meant to do one thing. And that's something that is Twitch will look at you and they'll be like, well, you're gonna have less viewers. And in my head, I would tell them, I don't give a fuck. Like, because my thing is, I'm gonna do what I want to do and what I'm passionate about. On this platform, a lot of people that are good at one thing and they can do that pretty often, a lot of times will grow in that category there giantly, and Twitch will reward you for that. However, for variety streamers, it is tough. It's hard out there. But if you're living your best life out there and you're doing your thing, I think you're winning, honestly. So it's like, and everything else will come later. And that's the thing that matters the most. It's a slower growth, but it's something that I think will impact a lot more better. Or a lot more better, that's not even a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
for sure. And
yeah.
And for me personally, that, like you said, there's a lot of different ways to approach this, and my approach to this has been as casual as possible, and I've taken steps that are counterproductive to this channel's growth out of the interests of making it so that I enjoy the production and execution of this show as much as possible. That going in, I knew a small number of things. One, that I didn't want to be a VTuber myself. I did not feel that as a content creator that seeing so many VTubers come into the space, was like, there are some incredibly talented people here, and I think that I'm pretty good at a lot of things, but I didn't feel that there was something unique that I would be able to bring to streaming, that I'd be able to do effectively to stand out. And I also know that I do a lot of other stuff that I don't like being bored. I like keeping myself busy. I do a podcast on a day of the week with some other friends. I do some streams with other friends. Fun fact, only 3 people in my life know about Vtuber Talk, and all 3 of them are involved in the Vtuber community, and that's why they know, because I told them, because I was like, all right, they might stumble upon me. Nobody else knows. This has been my happy little secret that I have had for this last year. And it was because, one, I realized, all right, on top of all the other projects and things that I do, I still had a bit too much free time for my taste. And I knew I wanted to give back and create something, but I knew I wanted to do it like once a week, have it be a regular scheduled thing. And I didn't want to invest a lot, just in case I hit that thing that I described earlier of starting and realizing it wasn't for me. So everything you see on VTuber Talk is royalty-free, free use assets. So that skyline background, I found it from one site. The top and bottom bar layout, something that I found from a free stream site. The box that has you in the chat is from another site. The BGM that I have right now is a royalty-free Legend of Zelda mix. The thing that I use in the pre-show is from DOVA Syndrome. This entire production is duct tape and cardboard slapped together, because the thing that I do feel that I could offer, which was a bit different, was that I think I'm pretty good at carrying on a conversation, and I feel like I'm really good at organizing and coordination. I know I'm not the only interviewer, but there's far fewer interviewers than there are VTubers as a whole. But the other part was just that, one, I'm not an affiliate. I've qualified for affiliate. It took me a while because you actually have to stream 3 times in a week to get affiliate. And for a while, it was just 1 show a week, so that wasn't even technically possible. But then because of scheduling, I had 3 shows in a 7-day span, and I didn't accept it because I figured that the amount that I would get from subscriptions would not be worth the hassle that I would have to add on my tax returns. It's just like, I don't care. That I'm a very fortunate person that I have a full-time job. I work in the gaming industry, and I don't make 6 figures or anything, but I get paid enough to live comfortably, that I am not looking to make this a primary source of income for me. And I do have a donation thing. I think I've gotten 3 donations in the history of this show, and the policy with donations is any donations that come in are split 50-50 with the guest. Because if the guest is taking time to be on my channel, that they're actually losing revenue by being on my channel, because you could be on your channel right now getting bits, getting subscriptions. So that's the least I can do. But
you've been on my channel, so you already know that content's free here. So for me, I do this for my passion. I love this. So you keep all that money.
Yeah, but at the same time, that means that I don't get emotes, which can help retention. Then I don't get subscribers, which can help retention. I don't have a Discord server because I did professional community management for 5 years, and I never want to do it again. Ever, 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 ever. I burnt the heck out on it, and it was to the point where I saw, going into this as a content creator, most people have a Discord. I took one look at that and I said, I don't care if this would help the channel grow by having more people in a server to make announcements. I don't want to deal with it. And I'm just fine taking whatever hit to my potential growth by not having one. And I'm so happy that I don't have one.
That's awesome there. Like in that sense, because I feel you on this 100%. Because I was telling you prior with things that is all running. That is, to me, it's not a joke. It's actually it's a saying, and I'm not sure if my community understands that, but I'm like, at least with me, I'm just like I told you prior, I work 2 jobs. So it's I do 2 jobs, and this has always been my passion. Now, eventually, when Could it maybe be more? Possibly. But the thing is like at the moment, I'm like, look, the only reason why that there's anything subwise is because that we have emotes, and I try and I put lots out there so that people can have them. If I can put more out there for you guys for free, you guys can have them, honestly. But like for
Oh,
me,
dang it.
I just well,
Bunny Arena, thank you for
oh,
the donation.
nice.
Congratulations, that's number 4. 1250, that's going to Savii, whether she likes it or not.
Nope, none of that's going to me. I won't accept it. But hi, Rena. That's my friend. I love Rena. She's awesome. No, but like seriously though, it's like for me, like there's a lot of things that I personally don't use on my channel because it's funny. I actually just had a conversation. I think it was last night. I think it was because somebody was asking me, and again, I try to balance this out. By the way, just so that people know that I'm not like, because I'm not a judging person either, in the sense like, for instance, if somebody has something or is doing something, I will never be like, oh well, how, like I don't think I'm better than anyone else with that. If anything, I'm just doing me. I'm just doing me. Like, and I hope people understand that. But like for instance, subs I think is the only thing that really is out there for the most part. There, like I don't really have like a throne thing. I don't really have anything where you can do extra stuff with me, because at the end of the day, like I'll get it. I'll get it. There are things that I want for my channel and things like that. But again, I'll get it when I get it. And if I have to work overtime at my other job or everything else to make it happen, I will. And that's how it was and how it has been for like forever. Now, if somebody is using something and like is like being able to get things off of, like awesome. Like I will root for you and be like,
R2
that's
Leo,
awesome. I
you
can't wait to see it."
troublemaker.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Keep going. Keep giving. I love it. I love it so much. That's great.
Honestly,
But
like as I was speaking, I was like, oh no, dang it. This is what people say right before people try and then, do it. And it's like, I'll be honest, I've been considering actually just removing that donation link. That the only reason that I keep it is because I am insistent on half of it going to the guests.
Jesus. Like I said, mine is just this, is that I tell people that any money that ever does come, like if for some reason, if they're like, you want to do that, sure, go for it. Like, I guess it makes it so that like, because never any money that is ever given has always gone back to the channel. I've never used it for anything else, other than that. But to be honest, and hell, even for like the last like 3 or 4 months before I was even really even getting anything out of that, I was just, I used my own money. I spent like, after everything, like my own money, I think I spent about like 5 grand, I think, out of everything, and probably a little bit more actually. But that's just because I love it. I get addicted. I get addicted to things, and that's just because I like extra stuff. But granted, when we were talking about like starting, and this is something that I want to make sure that people are all aware of when you're starting VTubing stuff, you can do lots of stuff for free. Tons of stuff for free. Like I said, I was using we were saying like a free Vroid model when we first started. But like you were also saying like background and stuff, like little cute hint that I used to love to do, and I used to tell people, and I still like sometimes use it occasionally to this day. Wallpaper engine, if you ever have that on Steam, have a different window. If you have another window open and use a display screen, go from there, and then pretty much just use it so that you can have a background that's moving, and you can use that. And that app on Steam is like $3, but you can change it to whatever you want. And like I use that pretty often, and like I used it for a Christmas one earlier. It's just like, and it's little things like that, and you can have it where it's like because I like things that are moving around. I like things that are alive, and that's why sometimes my art's a little bit more expensive sometimes, because, and actually a lot of people are like that. They like the stuff that's like where it's like the starting screens and the PRVs and they're moving around, and that stuff is cute, and I love it, and I love the attention to detail and stuff. And if anything, these last 2 months, that has been my goal. This has been my goal, is to fix like the little things where maybe someone may be like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter too much. But for me, I'm like, look, I want to make sure that when people are here, they feel like they are having a wonderful time. They're feeling comfy, they're feeling safe, and it's nice on the eye, I would say. They can see stuff and they're like, oh, that's really pretty. Oh, and like, oh, that's really nice. Now that's always like the small thing, but that's just me. I'm a perfectionist in that kind of way with that. I'm not there yet, but it's mainly because I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody, so I'm still kind of just like going out there. And that's, like I said, 9 months, still don't know anybody. Like that. There's just so many people. I don't have like a certain contact or certain things. There are people that help me with things such as like Switch and stuff. Switch helps me a lot with things, but like there's certain contacts that I don't have yet, and that's just how it is. But in time. So that's why when I tell people when they want to come into this, like you can do all this for free. Like when you first start, and you don't have to know anybody. So if anyone tells you otherwise, they are talking out of their ass, respectfully. With that, it's like they don't get it, because you just have to look around. You just have to look around, and you can spend little to no money to get started. Now, of course, you're going to want to do it later, and that's where it gets a little bit more expensive. But like the thing is that like you can do whatever you want on here. So to become a VTuber and to be able to get inside of this whole like community, it can just be like that. And I have many a link showing people where you can go and stuff like that, because again, I want more people to know about this. I would shoot it up to the stars if I can tell people, because here's the thing is that people don't realize that we haven't even gotten close to the amount of people that we can actually get inside of our community. The more people that see us, the more it's going to help us all in general
For
on this
sure.
whole platform.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I want people to know. And not only that, but for me, being somebody who loves to again, this is why I was saying earlier with the whole ASMR thing. That's why I don't like to just be in that one category anymore. I'm not saying that's the only thing I was doing, but like, it's because I feel like just as a creative person, I feel like I get stuck being in one spot, and I feel like I can't jump into as many things. And because I love to just experiment, I love to do things, I love to try to think outside the box, and that's just how I am. So I have to try different things, and just because I want to. And the more that we can get people in here is different minds and different people that think differently than us, and that's something that I want in here more, so that we can do more things. Because not only if because you have to understand that that's going to expand all of us, and it's going to make it so that more things are going to open up for everyone here. So I love to just see new people and new people that are interested. And if there's anyone ever that's like, oh, I'm new to like VTube in general, like I love it. I'm like, yay, it's another person. Because I was like that person 9 months ago, and it makes you happy.
Everyone starts somewhere, and I very much agree with the sentiment of rising tides lift all ships, that as more people get into the community, yeah, that's more people who are streaming, but at the same time, that means that for each person that joins the community, if 2 viewers get into the VTuber community, then it's a net gain for everyone. And that's all it takes, and everything from there is just even more so. And that's one of the big things that you've really seen over the past couple of years, or over the past year, that even though there are so many more VTubers, that viewer rates have gone up, and they might have dipped a little bit, as depending on what sort of pandemic restrictions you have in your area, or just seasons even. Summer, more people are going to be outside. Winter, more people are probably going to be inside. But that's going to be different if you're in Australia versus if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So there will be little fluctuations, but as on the whole, there are more people viewing VTubers today than there were in January. And that's across the board, I feel. By the way, also, Metro Nui, thank you for that $1. And for myself, while this is all, like I said, duct tape and cardboard, that one of the things I have considered is, maybe I upgrade my computer. That I had actually just gotten a new Mac in June of last year, because, like I said, I didn't stream. I'm a very basic person when it comes to hardware. I do a lot of my gaming on console, so I didn't need anything particularly powerful. That I watch streams, I, use internet browsers and whatnot, but I didn't need anything heavy duty for my computer. And then I go and start streaming 6 months later, and I realize, Macs are not necessarily the best machines for these things. So if I were to invest, it would be something of, okay, do I just invest in a better computer overall? And then I could also potentially start playing more games on my computer. Who knows? And maybe I'll eventually invest more. I'll admit I've gotten perhaps a bit too comfortable with my, just slapped together set, because the one thing that I have always cared about, and the one thing that I've prided myself on, is, like I said, my organization, my ability to be professional and welcoming to guests. And that at the end of the day, the one thing I care about, I don't care about numbers. Sorry, chat, I don't care about you. I care about you, but I don't care about you. The one thing I care about is the guest. That, for me, the most important thing, full stop, is always the guest and their enjoyment. And I'm very proud to say that I feel that every guest has been able to walk away from Vtuber Talk saying that they had a good time. That, like I said, I know I'm not the only interviewer. I'm not even trying to be the best interviewer. But as long as if my name comes up in conversation, all I care about is that if a past guest can say, oh yeah, Jay, he's a good guy, he's a fine guy, runs a good show. I don't even need it to be, like glowing praise or anything. But as long as I never want a guest to sign off from a show and be like, oh gosh, that was a waste of my time, or like that was super awkward and I wish I hadn't done that. That is the only thing I ever care about. And as far as I know, fingers crossed that no one's keeping anything from me, but I think I've succeeded in my goal thus far.
Oh, don't worry, you've been doing a wonderful job. And actually, you made up a good point though as well. Like I talk about that, like that number thing. Like, yes, you're right. You're right with that. Is that like for me, especially on with our community and stuff like that. I try to get to know as many people as I humanly possibly can. My thing is that like, as hard as it gets, as much as people grow, as much as people like expand in just like their time on this platform, one of my big goals is to still try to keep it as like a smaller community in the sense of like how with smaller communities people know everyone kind of thing. Well, I still try to make sure that I put that extra effort to try to get to know every single person that I can. Well, not every single person, but mostly everyone that I can with that, because I want us to be closer, not only as just like oh, we're here, like you're my number tally number 50 persons, like whatever. It's like, no, you are so and so, and I've known you for 6 months. I remember where I remembered you and stuff like that, because I can remember a lot of people like that. And it's just things like that where I'm just like, that's how I want my field to be. And the moment that I lose that, I feel like I'm gonna have to take a step back, be like, wait a minute, what's going on? And luckily enough, nothing's been like that. But just because, like, again, numbers and stuff like that can be very scary for people depending if they're trying to expand and whatever. But I do think of it like this, is that that's why you don't think of them as numbers, because no one is numbers. They are people. They are people, and you are a person as well, and you wouldn't want to think like that. You wouldn't want somebody to be like, hey, you're number 62 inside my streams. Like, no, your name is Savii, and I know you, and you're a good person. And it's like, that's what I like, because it's like, but I know that sometimes things get a little bit muffled and all this, but if I can make it so that people realize that this is all a bunch of nerds just vibing together, and we're all gonna grow together, then I think it's going to be a better pace. It's going to be a better situation. And it's also something where it's like, even though we do have bad thoughts sometimes, trust me, I have like hardcore, like oppression of things I have to deal with too. And I get it. So I get those thoughts sometimes. However, it's something that you have to be able to understand and be able to cope with, and be able to be like, hey, or hell, even someone to talk to. There's so many people inside this like community that I thought when I first started doing this, like, which is like kind of like a little side bit of things, is that like one of the reasons why I picked a wolf at first as well, even though I can change into whatever, was because I was thinking like a lone wolf kind of thing. Because even though wolves are more pack animals, I always thought of it as like the sense of like a lone wolf, because I always did things alone by myself, and that's just how I was, and that's just something that I've been really big on. So it's like, with that being said, now that things are a little bit different, I feel personally that like I might have just had a different mindset that I was just unaware of. But now I mean, I do a lot of things on my own still, but there's a lot of things I don't anymore. And I'm so grateful that it's like that. And I've changed so much because of this whole community, and I'm blessed. I am blessed. I am so blessed. And that's why I want to give back as much as I can, and be able to be the better part of this community if I can. So
Yeah, definitely agree with everything you said, and Tane does as well. Tane, she was a guest on my show. Goodness, Tane, I think it's been over 6 months since you've been on my show or something. It's been a while, but yeah, she said been lurking, but everything that Savii says is very admirable. Slow to do things gradually, but if we don't. But if we do what we love, then we will win in the end. And I very much agree with that, of just doing what you love, and that it comes through. And sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's a bit slow, but you get there. And if you aren't true to yourself and what you're enjoying, you're more than likely to burn out anyways, and that's never a good thing. So
oh, absolutely. And that's a great, I mean, and just seeing some of my friends in here is just this emphasizes what I'm talking about right here, is that like, because I was talking about doing this alone, it's like now I don't like there's a lot of things that you handle on your own, because it's your own, this is your own channel and stuff like that. However, you're not alone in this. You're not I feel like sometimes we get so split from people sometimes because we're working on this, or we're a little sus on some people, and sometimes because it's a different environment. You don't know what people's intentions are. I mean, I know that's how I am sometimes.
Yeah, it's the internet. You need to be cautious, but at the same time, people are surprisingly giving and generous and welcoming, and it's the type of thing that more often than not, if you ask for help, if it's not something that's going to be, a burden on someone if you put it out there. I'm looking for suggestions of this type of artist or this type of tech, that obviously you want to take the precautions to make sure that the bots don't get you, but that people are usually around and will be there to either offer their own services or plug someone that they know, and in general just be very welcoming. That there is, in any community, there's going to be a small proportion of bad actors, but for the most part, people are very welcoming. That there's not an inherent sense of competition where, every other VTuber is my enemy because any viewers that they have are ones that aren't coming to my stream. And that's not something that very many people have, and that's very good.
Absolutely. And a lot of so I've seen this a little bit here and just in general in the world, and so this is something that I think just as humans it happens. Is a lot of people think that to grow you need to step on the others to grow. Like that's why you see big businesses and stuff like that. But the thing is though, this is a completely different like community in the sense of like people can grow together. People like I think I saw someone in your chat because I've been watching your chat as well and things, and like they were saying that like a lot of VTubers share communities with other VTubers, and you're right, and that's just why I say that our we have lots of people inside of the VTuber community, but we can always get more because we are a little niche of people, and that's why we share so much. But the thing is though is like we share but we also grow together, and something that you never ever should think about trying to like, oh, if I do this you're going to grow and step on someone to get up there, and like once you get to that point you don't talk to them or whatever the case is, because I've seen that in the business world, and I've seen that in that kind of sense where people will grow and leave, and it's unfortunate. But the thing is though is that here it's a whole different ball game. This is something where you can grow together, and some people don't understand that, and I understand that. It depends. It could be like because of experience or because of age, but and this was something that when I first started, it was never a step on thing. It was just I'm just gonna do this alone and never talk to anybody. And it was only because I was hurt so much out there. But now I've lowered my wall down a lot with things, and I trust lots of people. Now, granted, there's people that I'm still like that I have to be cautious with, just like we were saying, this the internet. However, there's also a lot of people that I've given my heart to with that, and they've received it and given theirs back, and that's a lovely feeling. It is a lovely feeling that you have, and that you can have with people that are doing the exact same thing that you're doing, even if it's not the same content. That's another thing too, is that like not everybody's doing the same thing, but I have friends that do different stuff and we still see each other, and it's like it's a beautiful thing. I was talking to my friend Con about this last night because I was playing with her. She plays like Hunt and other things. She's actually on right now, I think. And I just stopped by for a little bit, and we were saying that like we don't even play the same thing, we don't do anything, but we met like 6 months ago, and like we're still friends, and we still see each other there, and like she'll come to my streams and vice versa, stuff like that, and we just vibe and we grow off, and we just like we support, and that's just one friend out of many. And that's things that like people don't realize is that like don't think of this as like this is a me thing. It's like this is an us thing in general. The more that we grow together, the more that you're going to see it as well. So if you really are thinking about us, you should be thinking about all of us. So it's like kind of thing. So it's like it's something that I feel is very not looked at very much sometimes, but it's very important. And again, I'm kind of a softie when it comes to things. Also, like I like people, I love people, and I love being able to support in any way that I can. I said that prior, but it's true. Like if I'm not working or streaming, I am watching either my friends or even new people. I love watching people that are just starting as well. And if I like what they're doing, like I said, I'll try to support them as well. It's just it's something where it's like I was right there at one point. Feels like yesterday. So it's like and it's pretty much was honestly. So it's like anything that I can do to give back to this amazing community that is opened me up, that has made me so that I can talk, like I was saying prior. I was doing ASMR before, but you know what, I actually never used to talk, believe it or not. I used to whisper. It's really stupid, but I used to I didn't like how I sounded. So, and again, ASMR, you can have this whisper talk with that. It's really it's different. And it was this thing that I was not ready for yet, but slowly but surely I got out of it, and slowly but surely I found a community that accepted me, and then I finally started to open up and become the person that I am now. And now I'm way more confident than I was prior, and I'm if there was and if there was fiery hoops, I'm jumping through them every day, and I'm doing it with a smile, because it's like every day I want to be like, what can we do next? And again, it's not to follow the meta, but it's what can we do to change the meta? And that's something that I want to be able to do more of, because I just that kind of person. I try to become an innovator because I want to see more, and I want to see more, and I think that we can do more, because as humans, there is no limit with us. So let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing. If there's goals that are stars right there, we can go past that. And that's something that I try to do every day.
Yeah, and first off, thank you, Bunny Rena and Metronui, for the follows. Welcome on in. I very much agree with what you said. Of just growing and seeing other people grow is so much fun. That's one of the things that I've been able to see over the past year, of just, several of the people that I've had on this show were not partner when I had them on the show, but are partner now. And I can't think of any VTuber that I've had on the show that has not grown in some way, shape, or form over the past year. And it's such a cool thing to see, of just, people do re-debuts, or that they, hit a milestone, and being able to see that and celebrate that is such a cool thing. And I love that the community as a whole is very, very much into celebrating for each other. That we have a lot of different things that, there's birthdays, there's anniversaries, there's debuts, there's re-debuts, and all these different things. And it feels like there's always something happening, and that people are never too tired to celebrate something for someone, because even if there's a lot of us and a lot of celebrations, it's always somebody different that, today it's going to be one person hitting partner, tomorrow it's going to be somebody else getting a new model, and that
And that's
we're all
really
able to celebrate these incredible things. And it's kind of weird to say that incredible things happen every day, but incredible things happen every day.
absolutely, and it totally does. Like you were saying yesterday, or yesterday, you were saying today. When we first started, like the 18-hour stream, it's like afterwards I went over to Hokage, which is one of my other friends, and he was celebrating his 20K, and I was over there for a collab with him, celebrating with them. So it was like, and then tomorrow we're going to Sigurd and Bert sing tomorrow, and we're going to do something for their partnership. And that's my thing, is that like if people ask me for things a lot of times, which I hope people understand, that it's like I am over the moon, first off, that you asked me, because like there's tons of YouTubers out here, tons of people that are out here that like are doing stuff, and I can't do every single event, but I try my best. I try my very best. Like if it's something where it's like someone's partnership or someone's like big milestone, like trust me, those are once in a lifetime things that happen. So if you think that I would be good for that, and you want me to be on with that with you there, I would be more than happy to come and join you. So I make time. As much as sometimes it dips into our own schedule, which I apologize to my community. But here's the thing, is that again, I want to support the people also that are supporting me, and that's friends and other creators as well. I know my community supports me as well, but like it's like if somebody takes that time to be like, hey, can you do, like, would you like to like come on with me? I'm like, absolutely. Like it makes you happy. It makes you feel like friends. Friends. Like that's lovely. It's something that unfortunately in the IRL world, it's very hard to do sometimes. Like I think about my IRL friends out there, and I have like one and it's my friend that I met in high school, and we're still friends with that. But I just but then again, I've always been very like, I've been very busy. I've been very like, just like I've been like, unfortunately I had to move out of my house when I was like 17, and pretty much just like from there just been living on my own, just working and doing stuff in college and military, and it's just like I didn't have time to do as much of the fun stuff. But now I've been trying to do it. Well, sometimes I still don't get a chance to. I mean, like other with my community, of course, like when I'm streaming, but like little things that aren't just like for instance, I did a little bit last night. Just played a Rakana. We played Hunt for like an hour or something like that, and that was fun. And that was just like just vibing, and that was just it's nice, and it makes you feel like I'm in a community that wants to just grow together, and just I don't know, just be a family. And family is something I never had IRL, unfortunately. No, not really a mom or a dad, really. So it's like and so it's nice to be able to have like people out here that feel like that. So it's lovely. It's a lovely feeling. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. That just I know some people who've said that VTubing has allowed them to be the type of person, either visually or figuratively, or even in some cases literally, that they want to be in real life, but for one reason or another cannot be. That some people, like you said, have found family here, or just have found a tight-knit community, friends, and it's so cool to see, because there are many different things that people can get from VTubing and from being part of a community, even if you are not a VTuber or content creator yourself. And that's one of the great things, that there is that flexibility. There is no limit to what someone can seek and find in this space. And that doesn't just go for VTubing. That's one of the wonderful things about the internet, really, that content creation, different communities, be it streaming, going as far back as online forums and things, and being able to find people with similar interests and being able to be yourself and celebrate either a shared interest or really anything, that's the building blocks of just human interaction, really. And for the vast majority of human history, humanity has struggled with the question of, how do I find my people, whether it be in a communal sense, a family sense, an interest sense. And for a very, very long time, it was difficult. That people would put out like classified ads in newspapers saying, such and such organization meeting at community rec center, and you hope that people find it, or you put up flyers. But now with the internet, you're able to just both put out and search for what you want with such precision, that I feel now more than ever, in general, people are able to find others that they are able to connect with in a way that frankly has not existed previously in human history. And it's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
cool to see.
It is so awesome to see. And I bring this I bring this up a lot inside my chat, but like, we live in 2021. So what that means is that you can do, you can act, you can be, now especially with VTubing, whatever the hell you want to be, because we have the tools and everything now here to do what you want to do. And let me explain, since I'm a little bit of a boomer. So I come from a time where and maybe it's just with my family as well with that. So because my family was very not open-minded with things, so they used to have it where it was just like, you want to be an artist, too damn bad, you ain't making no money off that, so what are you gonna do? You wanted to do music, too damn bad, you ain't making no damn money off that, so what are you gonna do with that? And the thing is like, I know that sounds odd, but it's like 2021 nowadays, you can do whatever you want on this platform, especially, and be able to not only do a hobby, but also be able to make money off these things too. So it's like, and I know when people say, oh, we're gonna make money, it's like, I know it sounds scummy, but here's the thing, is that like, sometimes it's what you have to do to live. I mean, like, food and stuff and living, it's not free. Now, the reason why I don't do it on my channel is because I have a few jobs with that too as well, to balance it. But the point is that like, we live in a time where the sky is the limit. Like, no more have we ever had that prior than now. It's like, that is something that is so amazing to see. And that's actually why also that I love this platform so much, is because like, I get to see not only people that are similar my age and group with that, but younger people as well, taking advantage of that. Because like, I know that there's some stigma between like the Zoomers and millennials and everything else like that, but like, I've seen the bad and the worst from both sides. But I've also seen people that are young and doing some amazing things that I still can't ever do, can't even think about doing yet. But like, I'm just like, good on you, and it excites me, and that should excite you guys too as well, because it's like, it doesn't matter how old you are, or like who's told you that you can't do something. If anything, prove them wrong, and show them that you can do whatever the hell you want. And that's something that is just a good feeling, that you can do what you want, because it's like, back in the day, that wasn't a thing, that was not a thing.
Yeah, when we were
Something that you just
younger,
couldn't do.
it would be a thing that parents would say to their kids, is just, stop playing video games. You can't get a degree in video games. You can't make a living playing video games. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy to do now, but
Right.
it is absolutely possible.
Absolutely.
It is. Parents today can no longer say to their children, you can't grow up and play video games for a living, because
Mhm.
it is absolutely a career now. You have to work for it. It is as competitive as being on Broadway. Honestly, if anything, I think it is now easier to be a full-time streamer than to be on Broadway, just numerically, I'm pretty
We
sure.
got it. We got it.
And the thing is that parents will encourage their kids that if you want to be on Broadway, go for it. That it has been a legitimate thing for a lot longer, and that now being a professional gamer, whether that be esports or just content creation, that it is viable now. It can be done. The systems are in place, the platforms are in place, the technology is in place that allows you to do that. And it's like you said, that you and I, Savii, are about the same age, and that was not a thing when we were younger. When we were in elementary, middle, high school, we did not have those options. That even like the first viable quote unquote careers in gaming were the esports ones, and that was very few and far between. And even then, we're not really talking living wages. That we're talking if you get to like world championship of one of the top 5 games, that you might win or split a pot of $100,000 if you were lucky. And that would be like a dozen people on the earth. But now you have people that can make that money and more, and it's possible. It's kind of mind-boggling to think how far it's come in how short a time, because like I said, parents can't say that it's not possible anymore.
Absolutely. And that's the thing as well. And then like that I was saying prior, especially with me, like, and we're talking about like creative juices and stuff and whatnot with that, is that like, there is games and there's everything else too. But like for me, I have seen other things too that have blown my mind, such as like some people come on here and they'll stream themselves doing rigging and models and doing other stuff too as well, which was never a thing prior as well, because now that VTubing's here, it almost added a whole new job.
Yeah, an entire industry now exists of riggers and modelers and all the people that do art, that for logos, for overlays, that you want to talk about job creation, VTubers and just content creators in general, by virtue of their careers being viable, make others viable. And there's never been a better time to be an artist, because obviously, much like content creation, much like being on Broadway, making a career out of art is still incredibly competitive, requires a ton of time and dedication, but that there are now more avenues for artists to make a living.
Exactly. But one thing that I'll say that I really like is that, like, just in general in life, if it's too easy, it probably will never last. Trust me. It's one of those things, like most things that you got in life and things that you really want are gonna need some time and effort. But I'll say one thing though, that this community that I really love so much is that, like we were saying prior with streamers and stuff like that, is that there are streamers, there are regular streamers, there are no cam, whatever there. But now there's a new broad of people that probably thought they could never ever do anything like this, including myself, because I never knew that I would be able to do anything like this because I was so nervous of things. But like now it's like they can be who they want to be, and this character that they have right here, this is them, this is who they run, this is how this works. And the people that might have been shy and unsure, they can finally come out here and be like, hey, I can do this too, just like you guys. And it's like, that is, listen, anything that opens up possibilities to somebody that felt like they were in a dark place or couldn't do that is amazing. And it makes me feel like I love to be a part of a community that boosts people to hit these dreams, to live this life that maybe they could never do prior. And that's something that I can get behind so much, because like I've seen how it is, and I do a lot of charities and stuff, and like IRL and stuff like that. It's something that I am very passionate about. Usually it's with kids and other things too, but it's usually with people and that can't do it anymore, that are usually in a darker spot, that are limited to things. And that's something that I usually tend to try to help and do as much as I can with. But here, I think that it's very similar sense of like people's social anxieties and things that people just couldn't do prior. And then once this whole like community opened up there, people that were unsure about a camera, like, I don't know, I'm nervous, or I can't because I have a problem. Like, some people have physical problems, some people have other things, some people have some people are burn victims, some people have things that they just don't want to show people. And like, for instance, like I know for me, like other than anxieties and stuff like that with that, like I just don't want people to see the fact that I have a heart condition with that. And you'll know, because like I have like I always have like these medications and other things that are all around me and stuff like that. I'd rather not my camera catch that. It looks bad, it looks like I'm a drug addict, but I promise it's just because I have a bad heart. But it's like, it's just how it is with things, and it's just like, it means that I don't have to worry about that. And the fun part is like I don't have to, they always say this, but it's like you don't have to wear pants. Lovely. I'm just playing. No, but seriously though, it's like it's opens up abroad. It opens up so much more for more people out there that were maybe limited prior. And that's something that I will always stand by. If it makes it so that more people can come into something so that they can get their passions out, then so be it. So be it. Like, and I will love that. And I love that and I'll support it in any way possible.
Absolutely. And like you said, there's so many different reasons that someone might want to get into VTubing. That it might be insecurity, it might be that there's some part of their life or physical appearance that they don't want to share. It could be that their physical appearance they feel is not representative of themselves. It could just be, hey, being an anime girl is fun, or or being really whatever the heck you want to be. Crab, Lich King, teddy bear, what have you. Being these things is fun, and that's perfectly viable too. That you don't need to have something that you want to hide to have something that you want to show.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And that's what we were talking about prior with being more of a showsman kind of thing, where like that's why I feel like VTubing will just in general be here, because it's like it's fun to do this stuff, to be like I want it to be like for instance, like I have like emotes where if I want to like be more expressive then I can, or if I want to have more of like a happier tone with things then I can. And it's like it's fun things like that where people never got a chance to do that, and it's all technical, and you can have like, and it's just fun, it's just so much fun. Like God, if you're not having fun doing this this might not be for you. This might not be this might not be your thing, which is not a bad thing, but it's just one of those things where it's like it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something for you to enjoy with others that are also big freaking nerds just like you. And that makes me happy. And it makes me happy when I can feel that in someone's community, because then it's like I want to be a part of that. I want to know what's going on. I want to know you. I want to know your community. I want to be part of the inside jokes. And that's why I think that's why I go into so many, because it's like I see my friends, I see people that are also like enjoying themselves. Like I said, again, I'm addicted to it. Like I'm addicted to people's passions, and I'm addicted to just seeing people just like do great things. Like God, it makes me so happy. And it's just like I don't know, it's so much fun. So it's like at the same time, when I see some of my friends in like a spot as well, like I want to make sure that I can get them out and help them and do the best I can to make sure that they know that they're worth the time that's on here, because it is competitive out here. It is. I get it. There's a whole thing out here, but like the thing is that like that's everywhere. So you might as well do what you love, because the thing is that you're just gonna, because if you have to treat it like a job, then just get a job out there in the real world. Because then it's like, because then you're just going to treat it just like that, where it's going to be like something that you're not going to love and not enjoy. So if you're not loving and enjoying it right there, then like go do something out there with that, because it's like clearly you're just going right back into the same spot. So it's like what's the point then? Isn't this supposed to be for a fun time with you and like your whole community? And that's how I see it. It's just something where it's like you and a community growing together as a family, having fun, being silly, and just in general just growing with you and your friends. And that's something that I really truly believe in, and still to this day. And I will probably feel like that till I'm done. But by the way, I don't plan on being done anytime soon. So, and that's my thing. And it's because I love it so much. Like I said again, I love it too much. Sometimes freaking, I get told by some people like, "Don't you have something in an hour? Haven't you slept yet? Yeah, you might want to get off." The moment that you can really still need to get off, I'm like, okay.
At least they're saying, they're not saying, get off, you're not good. It's, you're doing good, you've been at this for so long, we care about you. You should be sure to take care of yourself, please.
Yeah, we care about you. You haven't slept in 3 days. Go to bed.
Goodness knows that I can very much tell, Savii, that you, like I, are a extrovert, that you are someone who gets energy by being around people and by performing, basically. That there are some people in the VTuber community that are introverts, and that's entirely possible. But it's the type of thing that for some people, pushing the go live button can sometimes be a bit of a challenge, and that after a couple hours, people just feel really drained. And that doesn't mean that they don't enjoy it. But that for some people, just the way that they are is that, they have a great time for a couple hours, but as soon as they hit the, go offline button, that they're like, oh goodness, I need to lay down. I need to, just be alone for a while, recharge my batteries, and that's perfectly valid. But I think the reason that you're able to go for 18 hours, and part of what sort of drew me to conventions and drew me to doing this type of show as well, is that we get energized by it. That if we're running on like a good show, a good stream, it's a high for us, and that it just becomes a cyclical thing of keeping us going. That if we're able to keep the energy up, that you could
Mhm.
go for a while. And sometimes adrenaline can betray you in that you won't realize that you haven't eaten in a long time or that you haven't slept. So sometimes
Yeah, that
the
happens
chat
sometimes.
comments of like, have you slept, have you eaten, are valid. So I
Yeah.
suppose that is the best reason that anyone can ever be told you might want to stop streaming, because at least it comes from a place of caring.
Yeah, yeah, and I understand that with that. And it's funny you said extrovert. Extrovert. On the contrary, I'm actually more of an introvert with anything else. I only do it on here, and then after that, I like go into my hole. I don't talk to people. I actually prefer to be alone with things. But when I'm here, that's the only spot I've noticed that I enjoy that. It's like a swap. Like I'm like a switch with things. I like it like that whenever I'm here, but after that, I'm like, it's off. But but at the same time, I'll still like go and like watch people's like stuff and support and stuff like that. So, but like, this is the only time that I've ever felt like this before, because in the real world, like, I prefer to be alone and I enjoy that. It's just something that I like to do. It's just how I am. But like, I try to, I think it's like, and this is to my fellow introverts as well out there. You can be able to flip it on and off. I hope you know that, because it's like the moment that streams are off and stuff like that, like I'm very to myself with that. So it's like, don't think just because we get nervous and we get scared, because like when I hope you guys know, like one of the big things that I say, because like I have my streams starting at like 7 p.m. That's what my schedules say, but I'm always late. And one of the big reasons, other than of course of work, of course, is because it takes me like 30 minutes sometimes to get started with the button, because I look at that damn button so much and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not sure about this. And I have a lot of self-doubt with things. There's lots of it. I'm my worst enemy right there. Like someone will be like, you're great. I'm like, no, I'm like a piece of shit. And it's like, but then I'm like, but I'll start anyway. So then after that, I just get over it, and that's just how it is. I think very low of myself sometimes, unfortunately. I know that sounds awful, but like, again, blame that on the fucking, like, that depression sometimes I have. It's like, it pushes out extreme energy, but really deep down, I don't feel too great about myself sometimes, and that's just how it is. However, I acknowledge it, I notice it, and I talk with my therapist and stuff about it with a few things. But the point is that like, just because of that, and you can have these problems and these issues, doesn't mean that you can't do this. Because like, that's what I thought when I first started. I can't do this. It's impossible to do this. There, look at all these amazing people, and what am I going to bring here? I have nothing. And sometimes I still feel like that sometimes, but I get over that. I get over that really quick, because it's like, look, it's this constant battle. But the point is that everyone has something to bring out here. So keep going, keep trying, keep doing your very best, and keep just doing you. Keep doing your best. Keep doing your best to you, because only you can do your best to you. That makes sense. You can do, like I said, like I can only be my best Savii, and I know what my limits are and what I can do with that. So even though I'm shy and I'm quiet with things, you will never be able to notice when I'm on stream. I'll say that much. If anything, it looks like the opposite. But I almost want to say it was because when I was growing up there, I just was told a lot to do, like more or less to shut up in color kind of thing. That was the saying there. I had a father that was very like, don't speak unless spoken to kind of thing. So it was just like, I was told to be quiet a lot my whole life. So now I feel like I'm definitely spitting it out more. But the point is that I am just quiet in general. But doesn't mean that has to be your only thing. It's like, don't let people make you, and don't let those situations make you. Like, we're humans. We are the most advanced creature out there. We can grow and adapt and change and become like this different person that you want to be, as long as you put in the effort. Everything takes effort and everything takes time, so might as well just go for it. We only live one life, so you might as well just shoot for it, because at the end of the day, it's going to end, and you're going to wonder at the end of the day, did you do everything that you want to do? And that's the thing that you're going to have to think about. So and only you can get told that, and only you can pretty much, like, I guess, go about that kind of situation there. So you might as well live that best life while you still can. So
Absolutely. And Angel of Ragnarok, thank you for the follow. Going along the lines of what you said, of you are not the only VTuber that I've had on the show that I know can sometimes stare at the go live button, and that's okay. And as long as when you are able to get yourself to a place where you can hit the go live button, as long as after hitting the button that you're having a good time, then you're doing it right. And it can be a struggle for some people. It's an odd duality on paper, but it is surprisingly common, the stress and anxiety. And it is not something that I personally encounter, but I know many people, many incredibly talented, many just some of the biggest guests I've had on, some of the most successful people I know have this exact problem. And obviously you yourself, Savii, are very successful at, whether you want to accept it or not, whether you're looking at your numbers or not, you're doing pretty darn well. And
Well, if I am, it's because of everyone that's here that supports me, and I love them so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys have no idea. So it's I love it. I love everyone.
But even if it takes a while, that's okay, because they know that when they do get to the place where they can hit the go live button, that they're going to have a good time. And that's why they keep doing it, even if they have to sort of challenge themselves to get there, that they wouldn't keep hitting the go live button if it wasn't worth it at the end of the day.
Exactly. I understand that completely with that. And it's there's always going to be a struggle. I think it'll always be a struggle no matter what. However, it's something that I get better with each day. And again, I get excited for the fact that like I'm improving as a person each day as well. And it shows with the community that we get as well, because the people that, like I said, we talk about deeper things as well, like things that some people are very unsure about sometimes, and I'm fine with that. Like, again, like I said, I'm almost there for my psych degree. Like, I have to talk about these things with people that are unstable sometimes, and it's just how it is. And it's just and sometimes I even get to a point where I'm a little bit low with that, but it's going to be a part of my job with that. But the point is that like I've noticed just in my whole life, my whole career, with things that I've done, and even in my military and my engineering and everything else, that when you talk to people, depending on how you present something, can make or break something, and can make it so that you can or can't do something with that. And if you have the mental stability and also the great presence to be able to do such a thing, it actually makes it so that you can honestly just speak your mind any way that you want. And it's hard for some people because they may have more of a stronger opinion on one side or the other. But like if you're very I guess, like observant of both ends and open-minded in that sense, I feel like it's always been really good for me. But it's but it varies on each person depending on how you're doing things. So I think it's this platform is fantastic for to be able to do such a thing, and it makes me happy as a person and also as a creator to be able to just speak my mind when I want and how I want. And that's something that I want to do, and how I feel nowadays. And I feel like the things that we're doing nowadays, I can just do whatever I want with that. And that's what I mean by that, because I try not to make it sound like I'm sounding like spoiled, but like honestly, it's makes me feel like I can spread my wings and actually expand and do things that I really want. And that's why I feel like some of our things that we're doing as of late, such as like being able to change different like varieties and games, and like, and hell, we're gonna be going into music soon, and eventually we might be doing something else too, maybe some art for us. We've never done that, but like we're gonna jump into everything because I can, and I will do it. I will, and nothing's gonna stop me. So it's like I'm gonna keep doing that. But the fact that I have a community that supports me in whatever I do feels so amazing, and I love it so much. I'm truly blessed because of that, and I'm very happy for that.
Speaking of things that you want to do you have anything particular that you hope to put your psychology degree towards once you have it? That is there a particular, area that you want to go into, or do you see
Yes.
yourself as
So like in the real world, I always call it real world and back and forth. I don't know why, but outside there, I would say like touching grass and whatnot. I'm trying to become a psychologist for like troubled kids. So like I'm gonna work in the system, unfortunately, which is gonna be really hard. But like I think that that's where my skills are gonna do best. Usually with kids that have been damaged or abused or whatever with that, that's where I'm gonna work. I'm gonna pretty much gonna go and try to see what I can do, because the thing is that like as kids and everything, especially since I had to go through that growing up, the thing is that like there's a lot of things that can get fixed as a child when your brain is still developing. And unfortunately, bad things happen to kids all the time, unfortunately. And either it's from parents or from people that are not so good. So it's something that I would love to be able to adjust and fix so that they can live a life and not be in the system and not be stuck. So they're like going through jail each day and just doing stuff like that, because that will probably happen, and it's unfortunate. But the thing is that like, um, I want to be able to hear the stories and be able to hear the gruesomeness out of it, because I want to be able to help and be able to take it away from them in a way, and then eventually be able to have them go out there and be in normal society, like live in normal society like that and live a life. And if I can catch it early, then that makes me happy. So I want to do something like that. That's something that I always wanted to do. It's something that sits well with me, since that's something that I had to see, and I had to grow up with. And unfortunately, it's messed me up a little bit with things and makes me a little awkward sometimes. And just how it is. And like, I deal with it nowadays, but like, again, with therapy and a few other things. And, but that's also with other things as well. But like, I know that if you nip it in the butt sometimes early with that, usually it's less damage later. And not only that, but the way that I've seen, like, if anyone doesn't know, like, I live in America now, but like, it doesn't matter because I used to live in London as well too, things. But like, the system in general for kids in general is so bad. I know, see, I've seen it a lot in America, but like, in London it was pretty bad also. It's just like they get tossed aside a lot of the times, and that's something that I hate so much, and it makes you really sad. It makes you really sad, and it makes you feel like I want to do something. So that's what I want to do. That's what I want for that. And sometimes though, it helps me a lot with like, on where I'm at right now, because I can talk to people all day. I get excited from that because I like to pick people's brains, and I like to be able to understand people. And I like to understand people, anything from people that have never experienced anything in their life to somebody that's experienced just as much crap in the world that I have. So, and it's nice. It's nice to be able to get both senses off that and to be able to understand people, because that's just it. It makes you understand them, and I can flow with people better, and I can make more friends with that as well. I feel like that's why sometimes that I tend to be friends with lots of people, even people that are maybe not friends with each other there, but I get along with lots of different people, because it's like, I get certain things. I may not agree with every single thing that every person does, but just because I don't agree with one thing doesn't mean that I'm going to shun you. Like, trust me, I probably have things that you guys don't like about me, but like, as long as you understand who I am and what I'm all about, then that's all that matters. So it's like, being able to understand people is what I think the world lacks, because they don't ever want to, either they don't want to or they don't know how to. And that's the thing, is that like, you have to be able to understand people and get where they're coming from, and not just completely shun something because it's not something that you're used to or that you don't like. And that's something that I really, really stand by.
Yeah, that it is an incredibly noble goal that you have. I was very fortunate to have a very healthy and loving upbringing. But my mother was a teacher for over 25 years and spent the latter half of her career working primarily with at-risk students who did not have learning disabilities. So
Mhm.
the type of kids that you're talking about, the ones that don't have good home lives, that are getting into trouble, that are having these issues and becoming, and that it bleeds over into their studies, and that as early as, elementary, middle school, that it becomes clear that something's wrong. And it wasn't the type of thing that she talked about to my siblings and I when we were younger, but once my siblings and I were in, middle and high school, that she would tell us about the things and, say, some of the students today, that I always have snacks in my classroom because I know that some of my kids might not be eating, or
Mhm.
that there were a few students where she had to help facilitate interventions because she found out that things were not good at home. And uh, it has made me all the more aware of just how fortunate I am, because while I have not had to go through such challenges personally, I know that it is much more common than people would expect.
Absolutely, it's super common. Like I said, I mean, coming from being one of those kids, it was like, it's so many people. There's so many kids out there that are struggling out there, and not even mentioning the foster system, which is a whole different thing in itself there, where there's just, it's terrible. It's so bad right now. And yet, and you know, other than the fact that I do like, so because I do a lot of things for like I used to do a lot of things for like the kids that were on death row kind of thing, you know what I mean, like unfortunately, which is because I feel bad. I want to help as much as I can. I know that not everyone's going to be able to get out of that kind of situation there, and it's like I see so many people that are either too sick or this or abused, or that just, it just gets to a point where it gets so super overwhelming, and it makes me so sad that it's like that. But like, instead of, but for me as a person, just in general, this is how I see problems in my life, is that either I'm going to cry about it or I'm going to do something about it. Because I think a lot of the world, I think they will be like, yeah, that's a problem. It's like, yeah, but what's your solution? And if you don't have a solution about it, I kind of don't want to hear about it. Unfortunately, I know it sounds rude, but it's like, my thing is that, like, if there's something that's bothering you, especially if you're complaining about it a lot, multiple times, it's like, do you have a solution to that? Because the thing is that, like, I like people that are doers. I like people that like to get things done, and that's how I am as a person, just in general. So it's like, I've seen some stuff. There's things I noticed and things that I'm truly passionate about, and I've taken the steps to be able to do something because it's very passionate for me, and this is something that I want to do, and it's something that I will always stand by because this is what I want and this is what I like, and that's something that I preach on here as well, in the sense of like, do what you want to do and stand by it and run with it. Never look back, because the thing is that, like, you want to live that life that you're going to feel happy with. Because again, at the end of the day, you're living this life. No one else is living their life. They're living their own life there. Don't ever let anyone else run your life. Do what makes you happy. Do the things that you stand for and that you feel strongly about, and run with it. Because again, if someone's telling you that you can't or you won't, right there, they don't know the first thing about it there. So they can honestly shut the hell up. And that's the thing, is that, like, unless you're hurting someone with somebody there, who gives a fuck? Do it. Because again, talking about VTubing and stuff like that, like, you think this was going on in anyone's mind before? No, but there were passionate people that were doing art and other things like this, and eventually this started happening, and they started doing something that was unknown, and now they're probably making a bunch of money with that, being able to make models and creations. And even some of the creators that just started it at first, they were probably unsure about any of this, but here they are. Innovators make the world. That's how it is. People that have an idea and they want to do something with it. And there will be 95% of the people that are going to tell them no because they've never heard of something like that, and it sounds crazy. But you know what? And the 5% that stand by you and it actually becomes a thing, those are the ones that become successful. And those are the people that you want to surround yourself with, the people that want to do more and want to see more and want the world to change in a better perspective. And that's something that is beautiful. And that's something that I want to be a part of. So that's what I like.
Sort of bringing multiple points together, one thing that I know it exists in a small number now, some with more reputable and effective services than others, but that I think will continue to grow and become a proper niche in psychology, is people who specialize in psychology for content creators. That it is such a different path, a different lifestyle, a different set of skills and just mental strength that you have to have as a content creator, that if it is something you are going to pursue full time, that, you know, career coaches have existed in various forms for many, many years. But I think that we are going to see in probably even just the next 5-10 years. I don't think that it's going to be very long at all, because I'm sure it already happens in a small amount, but I think it's going to grow, that there are going to be people and services who specialize in helping make sure that content creators don't burn out, helping, you know, be a safe person, just psychiatrists who specialize for either, you know, pro gamers who are constantly training and grinding, or high-level content creators who are trying to balance things with tens of thousands of viewers, because the mental strains on this field, when you get to that scale, is unlike anything else. And a lot of people have, you know, gone through some really significant struggles because of it. And in the past, it hasn't been a common enough thing that it would have been feasible or realistic for someone to offer that type of service, or to even think to look into that as a field of its own or as a niche of its own. But I think we are getting to the point where it's going to become a thing, and I think it's going to be interesting to see, along with all the different artists and riggers and modelers, and like we've been saying, different career paths and jobs that have grown out of content creation as a whole. I think that's one more that will end up being added to the list, even if it isn't quite there yet. And I don't think it's going to be something that you see a ton of, but I think
No,
it is
absolutely
going to
not.
be a very real thing, that there will be a small list of people over time who will find that they are adept at working with these types of creators, and that they are able to, offer a worthwhile, fair, and valuable service in that regard.
Well, this is my thought process on that, which I don't necessarily disagree with you on this. But what I want to say with that is this: is that here's the thing, in the world in general, for real mental health issues, such as like lots of honestly, anything under the sun, we're terrible at. Still, we're getting better, but it's just there's humans in general are having a hard time being able to understand and also be able to treat mental health in that sense. Hell, even like I see it when it comes to like some of my prior military members there that are still dealing with this stuff, and they're rubbish, like with like how they're handling it, and it's awful, and I hate it so much. But like in the world in general, we just need to be able to handle that better. So I think, with that being said, it would be a super cool thing. I think it's not even going to be close to anything in a while, since we can't even deal with the real stuff right there, in the sense of like how we have somebody that's been dealing with like, abuse or like something else right there, and they can't even handle that correctly, which is unfortunate. But like when it comes to like something that we can have in the back until then, is that I think, and this is something for content creators in general, but just like, and sometimes this word is a little bit more like unsure, and I'm just gonna be real with you guys too as well. A lot of you guys already know is that like I don't have, so I think managers need to be more of a thing, in the sense of like not somebody who manages and tells you what to do, but somebody that helps you grow with what you're currently doing. Like I have someone that does that. Like I said, Switch helps me with a lot of things, and like Keyta helps me with a lot of background work. And hell, even sometimes when I'm feeling a little low at things, I'm like, crap, I don't know what I'm doing with this, and I'm not sure about this or this. How do you feel about this? And he'll give me his honest opinion. Sometimes you can't do everything there, because he doesn't do the content part sometimes. So sometimes I have friends and stuff that I talk with. But like really, as much as I would love to see that, I want the world to work on mental health in general, because it's something that we're so lacking on right now in general. But then if they have categories for that eventually one day, that'd be so cool. That would be super cool. But
For sure.
there is definitely
And
something half with that definitely helps out a lot when it comes to like anything that you're unsure about. Because again, just like you said, this is a market where you are doing your own thing. So sometimes it's like a wasteland where you don't know where you're supposed to be going. So you feel lost and you feel unsure. And sometimes things work, sometimes things don't, and you feel discouraged sometimes. And I understand that. I understand completely with that. However, there are avenues to these things. It's just I want there to be more people that have experience with this stuff that can help. And I think it's something that we need more of. So you're absolutely correct with that. Just something where it's like, I feel like the world has so many things that they need to work on to be able to make it so that like we're more stable with this kind of situation. So I agree.
I very much agree that content creation psychiatry is not where the psychiatrists of the world should be focusing their effort primarily. That you are absolutely correct that there are many other issues that need attention with much greater urgency, infinitely greater urgency. But yeah, that you are right that there are resources even now that exist. Even some have different names. There are different styles that you can get that type of support. And yeah, as a whole, and unsurprisingly, you are far better versed in this space than I am. But it's cool for me to be able to like hear this type of stuff and be able to learn like, okay, that I sort of suspected that there might be a couple of these different things, but
But
that's one of, it's always fun hearing.
Nobody ever talks about it, and that's the
one of the
thing, is
things.
that nobody ever communicates, and that's what I feel like people struggle with. So it's like, so for me, I like to educate with things. If people have questions, I'm like, this is what I know. I'm not saying it might be the exact way you think, but like, from working in certain fields at this is what I've gotten so far. And it's like, that's why I'm never like, I can't believe you thought about that. I can't believe you said that. Because it's like, for me, it's like, I don't get mad. I don't get mad at things. I don't get anything else like other than the fact that I like to help. And like, if someone has a question or maybe they didn't know, I'm like, oh, well, there's this. Did you know about this? And they're like, oh, I didn't. And it's like, because nobody ever talks. Nobody ever talks. And it makes me super sad to be able to like and to hear that. But just in general in the world, just like with how things work out there's so many different things that people just don't, they never speak about it. And I'm like, why? Like, if there's things that are problems, then like, why can't we just address them and be civilized about it? But it's just because people don't want to, or people are get nervous, or they don't want to be in that weird situation. But as humans, we grow from adapting to situations, and that's the thing, is that it's okay. It's okay. This is normal. So it's like, it's something that I've noticed, especially being with what I'm doing so far. And it's like, and then I come out here too, even though I've never done this prior, I can see that there's still similar problems of things. But again, we're all people, so it makes sense. Those problems are going to come in here, even if it's a different kind of like community, you know?
Yeah, and that's one of the fun things that I've been able to experience just by running the show, is that I learned so many new things by virtue of having so many different guests with diverse interests and backgrounds and experiences and knowledge, that sometimes, I get to jam about competitive Pokemon because it's something that I know at least, a marginal amount about. But then sometimes I get a guest coming in here who's able to really just give me an education. And I cannot say that I nobly started the show so I could learn more things for myself. I did this because I think it's fun and I think that I'm good at carrying a conversation. But that's been one of the greatest side benefits of it all, for sure, being able to learn these things. And even if I'm only scratching the surface, because I know that in a single interview I'm not going to become an expert on any given topic. It's not going to happen. But at the very least, I become more aware that, even if it's just picking up basics, that it's a start, and that I can sort of realize and be cognizant of the depth that I don't know in certain areas. Sorry, your model glitch out there.
Oh my god.
I hope that resolves itself.
Right,
If it doesn't resolve itself, I've seen this happen before. It doesn't happen often. It can usually be resolved if we restart the video call. If this doesn't resolve in like a minute or two, we'll just cut the call for a second, put up a new one. Because I'm not seeing dropped frames on my end, so it's a video issue.
lovely. Yeah, I've seen this. Like, remember I was telling you when we first started, I was like, I've seen this once before, and it might be the same thing. Maybe.
I think we're back. No, not quite.
I can always end it.
Yeah. Give us just a second, folks. We are gonna get this set back up. I will create a new room for us. You can entertain yourselves in the chat. Spam those lovely Savii emotes. There was a great heart train that was going on earlier. Yes, we do love some scuff. Love the scuff, embrace the scuff. You will never escape it. So, Savii, go on and hang up the call. I will spin up a new one. I'm not going to end the stream, but we will hang out here and be right back.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, sorry about Alrighty, give us just a second, folks. Savii is coming back in. All right, yeah, that's much better.
All right. Am I back? Hello.
We are back.
Awesome.
Yes, all right. Thank you for bearing with us, folks. Where were we? Goodness. Psychology, learning as a whole. Yes. Yeah, I've been able to learn a lot of different stuff from my guests, and that's just been super fun. One thing that I learned about you when we were chatting earlier this week is that you yourself actually used to do interviews, that you had an interview background that we almost used tonight because it was two chairs in sort of this like office boardroom type thing, and it doesn't quite work because I myself don't have a model. But while this is your first time being an interview guest, for a time you were an interview host, and I think you might be the first guest that I've had that has done interviews as part of their own content.
Yep, I love it. Like, just like you with things, I enjoy meeting lots of new people. There's the only other person that I would watch prior, other than you now that I've watched you a few times with them, some of your videos that I've seen. I used to, how to say this? I used to watch Iron Mass a lot with things where, because she has like her interview setup that she has now, and
Yeah,
I love
speak
her
of the devil.
expression. Yep, I love her expression when she's like, "Look, this isn't really an interview; it's just us jamming and talking." Because it's like, it's true. When I was starting it up, because I think we were starting just about similar time with that. I was thinking to myself that I was like, I want to just have something where I can talk to people and just like get to know people. And I did I think like 5 before I lost my old editor, and then it was a little bit harder to have them, so I stopped. And now I have a new one, but we just got him, and he's really good. But I've been waiting for a minute until I get back into it again. I want to start again, but I just I want to fix some stuff up that I was my newbie self wasn't ready for. But it was fun though. It was fun. I had a good time with it, and I used to post them up on YouTube after. I think they're still there, and it's like they're fun. They're just it's an excuse for me to talk to cool people, and that's the thing, is that I really enjoy that. I love that I can just I don't know, just vibe with people I've never met before, and I like that. I like that a lot. It's something that I can just really relate with.
Yeah, like I've said, one of the reasons that I've started this just boredom, and I like talking with people. That it's just fun, and it's so cool to see so many different people, and that since the VTuber community is so diverse, I am actively forced to seek out new people. And it's just the type of thing that, if I'm going to be doing about a show a week, I always need to be on the lookout. All right, who's going to be somebody fun to have? Because I never have a guest on just because they're big or because they look cool. That if I've invited someone to be on my show, it is because I've been in their streams. Like, I haven't put a number on it, but basically bare minimum, I need to have seen 3 streams of theirs, and I need to tune in, get a vibe for them, get a vibe for their community. And I'm never looking for a particular vibe. I am just looking for a vibe, that as long as I think I can carry a conversation with this person, that if they're interacting with their chat, that's one of the first sort of signs I look for of how responsive is this person to their chat. Because if they're not going to talk a lot in general, it's going to be a bit harder for me as a host to work with. And that's not to say that I haven't had people who are a bit on the shyer side or might not be as talkative. Sometimes I see it as my job as a host to help bring those people out of their shell. But I invited them on because I at least know, all right, I think that I can talk with this person for 2 hours, and that they will have a good time and I will have a good time, and that viewers will have a good time, and that I know who they are, at least on a basic level, going in. And so I'm just always hopping around. You've said yourself that you're always looking at new VTubers and just tuning into streams. Frankly, the hardest thing that I have encountered of running the show is that it's important to me that I, even if I'm not tuning into every stream of everyone, that I try to tune in to people's streams at least once a week, at least once every 2 weeks, just, check in, because one, like I said, I'm not going to invite them on if I don't enjoy their content to begin with, and I legitimately want to see what people are up to.
Mhm.
But I also don't want to be like that type of person who, I never want someone to feel like I have used them and that I have invited them on and then never talked to them again. And this is episode number 44. It gets tougher every single week because when it was episode 10, it was pretty easy for me to keep up to date with everyone, tune in at least once a week. I can't do that anymore. It just isn't happening. It's not going to be possible anymore. I do my best.
Trust me, I know that 100%.
But I've accepted that I can't, keep up to date with everyone, but I try my best.
And that's, honestly, though, I understand that completely. Like, one of my things that I always say, especially when it comes to like my, especially with any of my friends or content creators and stuff like that, I'm like, look, the fact that I'm seeing you here right now, like, thank you. It's really nice. And I know how hard it is to be able to like jump back and forth and be able to do these things. Like, I usually do it when I'm at work or whenever I'm supposed to be doing something else. Just like I'll jump into your guys' stuff and I like to see what you guys are doing. And my thing is this also is that when I'm in someone's stream, I want to like digest like your guys' like content, not just be like hi and run away. Like, my thing is like I'm in there, I'm talking, I'm chatting, I'm simping, I'm giving you guys all my money, and that's pretty much how I do this. If I ever see a hype train such a thing, I'm gonna make sure to get that thing going. I like to make sure that I'm trying to be the biggest cheerleader ever inside your stream, and I like to be a part of your guys' like just like the jokes and things that are happening. And sometimes I miss streams, sometimes I can't do all of them. Like I have a lot of people that I see with things, but I try my best, and I try to make sure that I'm like, hey, I know you, I feel you, I understand you at least a little bit. Like, in the sense, like, just because I care about what's going on with you, and I care about you. So it's like I just want to make sure that I don't know, that I'm a part of your guys' life. And it's like it's hard for me to go into everyone's things, but like, you do your best, and that's something that I guess that's all you can really ask for, is just doing your best. So when I see someone else that's also making content, also doing stuff, I'm like, you know what, thanks for taking 5 seconds or like even a few minutes just to say hello. It really means a lot to me.
Speaking of, Ellie and Booster, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, raiders. Ellie and Booster, and it says Three Stooges raid, so I'm not sure if I'm guessing Third Stooge is Jusagi. I'm hoping the Third Stooge is Jusagi. Ellie and Booster are some wonderful folks over with. Olivia. Okay, another past guest. Absolutely a stooge. Ellie and Booster are an incredible pair of VTubers, Necromancer and Ghost husband and wife.
Oh, nice.
And Olivia is a magical girl VTuber who
Olivia.
actually, yes, I remember because you and I were chatting the other day, and as we were DMing in Discord, that we were both in Olivia's stream, and I DM'd you, was like, I see you in her chat.
Listen. Olivia is great. She's cute. She's lovely, full of energy, and oh my god, her expressions. I talk about this a lot with like Switch whenever we're working on stuff, because I'm usually working on stuff whenever people are like streaming and stuff, and I'm like, she has like great expressions. Like, it makes me laugh. Like, sometimes she'll say something, her eyes like sharpen. I'm like, oh boy. I don't know. I love it. But her energy is so like her energy is like so great, and I love it, and I absorb it as much as I can. It's so awesome.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, got the shout outs for the two of them. Well, three of them rather. They are just fantastic content creators, fantastic guests, and yeah, just if you're looking for top tier manic energy, Olivia's your girl. If you're looking for some just, if you're looking for the Odd Couple snarky, fun, off the wall, unexpected games, Ellie and Booster are your folks. That they do some incredible stuff. They've been hosting. They call it V Caliber. So they take VTubers, and Booster's a freaking wizard with the Soul Calibur 6 character creator engine, and he will create 16 character avatars in the game modeled after VTuber models, and just it is uncanny. He's done this twice already. I think a third's coming up really soon. Correct me if I'm wrong. They ran a full-on Ace Attorney trial with VTubers a couple weeks back. And Olivia was part of it. Olivia was one of the witnesses. I think she might have been the culprit at the end of the day. I forget, but it was just they put together some incredibly unique and engaging projects. So definitely check them out. They're
Let's take a look
all
at them for sure.
phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. Nice. Yeah. So more, I mean, any reason to add more VTubers and more content creators inside of my friends list, the better. Like, I just like to like follow everyone. If I could, I would. I just like, it's like every day I find somebody new. And and I shrunk myself, sorry. And that's the best part about this whole like community as well, with what we are talking about prior, is that there is always more people. There's always new people, new faces. And that's my thing, is that like just like you were saying earlier, size, that doesn't matter to me. None of that matters ever. My thing is that like actually, if anything, I love seeing smaller people that are just starting or mid-tier or whatever, because I love to see what they're doing new, because they're fresh. There are people that are just coming in, and it's like, what is new about you? I'm very curious. And so I lurk around a lot with things, and it makes honestly, I've seen some amazing and talented people. Again, this whole community in general in itself is so talented and so like interesting to listen to. So I could be on here for hours, and I am hours and hours and hours, even when I'm not doing anything. I'm just here. So this is my home, and I've made this my home ever since I got on.
Absolutely. Also, Charles Darles and Dryadman, thank you for the follows. I very much identify with just always being around, tuning in different streams, and I'm a big anime watcher, and I try to keep up with, like, in the past year, I'm usually watching like 8 to 10 shows actively any given season, and I'm still able to do that for the most part, but I've noticed that I fall behind much more often than I used to, because, you know, when I have free time, it's either I'm going to watch anime, I'm going to watch VTubers, and I've been siphoning more and more time into Twitch and VTubers, but still keeping up with the anime when I can. But it's that I've noticed, you know, just how much I'm on. But it's always fun, and that's the type of thing of just, you can be on any hour of the day, and there's going to be 50 VTubers live at any given time, any given game, category. There's something for everyone, and there's always more to discover. So it's that little struggle of, one, I'm trying to keep up with my past guests, two, I'm scouting around for new guests, and three, just, you know, digging around, seeing what's out there, because for every VTuber you're familiar with, there's 24 that you're not.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, ever since they added the VTuber tag back then, like, I still remember that day when they added that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Godsend.
Godsend. I keep doing that. I'm so sorry. It makes it so much better to be able to find more people, and just like blessed. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It makes it so that I can be more of a creeper and easier. So I'm happy about that. More people that I can follow and find, the better. So I'm all about that.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to remember. So obviously you spent 18 hours playing, it was Souls 3, I think it was. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was that, and that was actually your first one, because you hadn't played 1 or 2, and you just jumped in with 3. If memory serves, you had been told that was the one that had the just smoothest combat system and everything, and obviously you had your 18 hours going in through all that. What do you usually look for when you're watching others? That obviously, variety streamer, I assume you jump around a lot, but is there something that, you know, if you see someone playing a particular game because either you think not a lot of people do it, or is there something that you notice with models that you stray towards, or is it just random?
For me, it just so when I look for somebody, I just like, it is random with that. There is no games I ever look for. I play games, but I don't look for anything in particular. Like, and that's why I was saying earlier with you, is that like and I try to say this without being rude or anything, like, what you're playing doesn't matter to me. It depends on the person in that way. I'm very big into like personalities. Again, it depends on how you present yourself. And again, it doesn't mean expressive in the sense of like you have to be too loud and crazy. It's just like, where's your passion? I love to see passion. I love to see what you as a content creator are doing for this platform, and also what you are doing for your community, and just how much you love doing it. And there is no like level of how to do that, but you can feel it. And that is what I look for. It's something that is rare, but at the same time, it's not as rare, I guess, because when you're on this platform, there's so many different kind of people that they express it every single day. And that is what I look for people. And usually a lot of my friends and a lot of the people that I tend to hang on their chats, they are like that. They are very, even if they're like calm and collective, you can tell that they're very passionate about what they're doing. And passion can be shown in many different kind of ways. And that's something that I find so amazing on here, is that you can honestly find so many different kind of people every single day. So like you were saying prior, there's a VTuber for everybody here, and there's different kind of people that have seen different kinds of experiences. And again, people that haven't seen much in the world yet, people who have seen everything, older, younger, people who like to do just one certain thing, who like to do many things, who like to do music, who like to do art, who like to do, I mean, you name it, it's there. And that's something that is so fun to watch, because it's like, where else do you get a chance to find that? It's like you don't really get too many spots where you get to find many people like that, and so many. So it's lovely. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. For you personally, are there any particular areas that you're looking to venture into with your own content? That obviously drumming streams are something that we can look forward to coming up. I suppose using that as a starting point, are you starting to collect sheet music? Do you have any particular pieces that you might be practicing, or are you just sort of going to go with the flow, maybe improv?
Yeah, I'm always in prom. I've actually never learned how to read music, even though I did that stuff. I just never never liked it. I go off of ear, so, and then I memorize like that. That's how I do it. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing music stuff soon. Drums. I have my guitar pretty much ready to go. I have I have my ocarina. I'm playing my ocarina too. More as a joke, but I'm learning some songs. But the joke is, yes, I can't read. But I don't know. I just I feel like it makes it harder that way. I can memorize and know where it is and match it to a song if I want to play a song. But really, it's kind of go with the flow of things. That's just how I do things. I just kind of just very sporadic. And that's and I mean, hell, it hasn't been to like this month that I've actually started doing like schedules and stuff. I like to go with the flow. However, schedules I've been trying to do more of, because at least for new people, I want to let them know like, hey, we're on this time usually. That's why usually my times are like 7-ish. So there's always issues there, because it's like you never know. And usually I'm jumping out from work, just like how we did with us earlier. I jump out of work, and out of like a 12-hour day of work, I'm like, crap. Now it's gonna go and stream for another like 10 hours, and then we'll go from there, and then like rinse and repeat. So it's a busy time, but make it happen.
Yeah. You mentioned you're an engineer by trade, and obviously, without going into too much detail, there's a lot of different disciplines for engineering. That there's civil engineering, electric engineering, computer engineering. Uh,
So,
Civil?
mhm.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense given the interest and goals with the psychology degree. So, are for right now, are you already doing things that you will be doing once you have your psychology degree, perhaps just in a different aspect? Or civil engineering can sometimes be, you know, like city planning and design and
Um,
anything from bridges to irrigation or roadways. Are you in any of those realms, or even now is it already working with people?
so I've been civil engineer for about 10 years, so I've been doing the thing for quite a while. And my thing is that the only reason why I'm like, here's the thing, I hate it. Hate it. Only thing I like about it is that there's numbers. Deal with numbers, and I get to be able to do like different things to be able to build and stuff, but it's boring and I don't like it. But psychology was something I like because it's people. Dealing with people and dealing with like hardships has been something I didn't know that that at least growing up that I could do something with. Yeah, I really want to work with people. So with the psychology stuff, I do a lot of school things, but as in like for the actual job where I have an office or anything yet, no. But should be once I'm done. I only have one more year left. And then after that, really I'm gonna pretty much drop, well, I can only drop that for so much. I'll probably still be doing some of that because that's military stuff. But as for like I also like we do co-own for like an HVAC company as well. So I do like deal with a lot of numbers, buying things, dealing with customers and stuff like that. So eventually I'm either going to drop that, or I'm going to just work part-time with that, just so that I can have all of the things that I want to do and be able to do them, so I'm not going crazy. So There's that. But all in all, though, for that part, yes, I'm done mostly everything for a while now.
Yeah, seriously, that you mentioned that you're doing two jobs, you're doing this, and that there's military with all this. That
Mhm.
you've been very open about your involvement with the military, and you mentioned, I'm going to be away this weekend because I have drill,
Mhm.
and you said you've been in now for 10 years, was it?
Yep.
You're a very busy person, Savvy.
Yeah, I am. It's one of those things where I am just like you said. I don't like to not be doing something, and that's always been something that I've always been. I blame that on the heavy ADHD. But then again, at the same time, I had to, and that's the part that like I said, I moved out when I was 17. So like I didn't have a mom or a dad. I didn't have anyone to help me like that. I was on my own, and that's just how it was. So like with that being said, I've had to do a lot of things I didn't want to do, and I've had to work a lot my whole life. So it was one of those things where like I said, girl's gotta do what she's gotta do. And that's something that I've lived with for so long that now that I'm doing all of this, I've actually believed the fact that I couldn't be creative and I couldn't do the things I want to do on here because that's what I was taught. That's what I was taught. There was lots of stuff where like there's like, oh, you have to do this because you have to make money and live. But like again, that's not really a living. Now I had to do that for a while so that I could actually like put food on the table and stuff like that. But really now that I'm in a little bit of a better spot now, it's now I can finally start to jump into this creative avenue that I've been missing out on so long. And that's why when I jumped in at first, I thought I was too late. I was too old. And I was like, I can't do this. But like, I was definitely wrong, 100%. And that was something that sometimes it's hard still because I do think like that, like, oh man, I messed up. Still, I'm not there yet, whatever. But like, no, that's not true. Anybody can jump in at any time. It's just one of those things where it's hard and it makes you feel like you can't, but you can. You 100% can. And it does not matter how old you are or anything that you've done in your life, or hell, even any kind of like the mental strains that I was telling you about prior. It can happen. You just have to, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to make this thing go? And that's something that I try to let people know. It's like, look, it's not gonna be easy. Like like I said, I'm an insomniac too, so it's like I didn't sleep very much. But even if I could, I think I would lose sleep still because there's like, oh, I have to do this and this and this, and you made this stuff happen because you want this to happen. You want it to happen. You don't want to get burned out, of course, but like you have to know yourself. You got to know balance. You got to know what is gonna make you stay in here and be as productive as possible with your time. And that's huge. You have to learn how to be productive with your time. And that's something that I've been learning as I've been going through all this. Because I mean, it's like I like to do these things and I want to do more, but how do I do it with the limited time that I have? And that's what I've been trying to do here is just be able to do as much as I can when I'm on. And that's something that I tried and I try to pride myself on. That's my strong suit, I would say. So I hope that I can get better at other things, but it all takes time. It all takes time, and everyone goes at different paces as well. So there is never a rush. It's always just like depends on how bad you want it and how much you can handle. So everyone's different.
Yeah. D2 and Crypto F, thank you for the follows. I definitely identify with the figuring how much you can handle, taking things slowly, but at the same time taking on a lot. That last year, when March rolled around, I suddenly had a lot more free time on my hands because I used to go out to Friday Night Magic, and I would be doing conventions on a lot of weekends, or just different social outings with
Mhm.
friends, and suddenly those were not possible, and I had a lot of time on my hands. I spent a lot of it at the start playing Animal Crossing, and that was good for a while. And like I played the heck out of Animal Crossing. That was my social outlet. I reconnected with friends that I hadn't spoken to in 4 years.
Oh
I
wow.
had a weekly call with my siblings. It was every Monday for it was a bit over 6 months before we ended up stopping, but we would just every Monday that we would go to each person's island and just hang out and just be on a call and chat for like 2-3 hours.
Hmm.
And then I started a podcast with a friend, and I started hopping in on streams with another friend, and I was able to piece by piece, you know, cobble together a virtual social life to replace the in-person social life that was not viable at the time. And each time, it wasn't that I picked up all these things in a single week. It was, all right, I had this thing this week. A couple weeks later, I realized I still got more time. I had another thing. A couple weeks later, still got more time. And then sort of fill it out slowly but surely, realizing, how much more can I handle? And it was around late December last year when I was like, still got more time. And I've been really into VTubers lately. That the whole plot for the show was hatched and then launched in early January. So, but at the same time, figuring out that balance of, okay, I'm doing all these types of things, but it's, a lot of once a week appointments, not one big thing, while at the same time, it keeps me from getting burnt out on any of them, because while I'm spending an amount of time on all of them regularly, it's amidst 3, 4, 5 other things, and the things that I've picked up are flexible in that there isn't any particular time of day I need to do my VTuber Talk work. Like we said, I can tune into Twitch whenever the heck I want and be scouting out for new guests or be prepping show assets and, scheduling pre-interviews and stuff for other things. It can be, watching anime decompress or prepping things for any number of the other projects, but that flexibility lets me be able to take on a lot of things while still having time be put in without it burning me out, because I'm able to go with the flow. And I just know that that is how I operate best, and that I have very much structured my social life and the way I spend my time outside of work around that.
I can see that. Interesting. And everyone, coming from somebody that just wants to have something to be doing consistently with that, you seem like you got a nice little good hold on that.
Yeah, it takes time for sure. That it's not something that I just woke up one day knowing, but it's one of the advantages of, I suppose, being a quote unquote boomer in the community, that the ripe old age of 29, the two of us, that we just have that we have that little bit of extra experience and time to know and understand ourselves.
And that's a big thing there. And that's I said it probably with that too, but just in general, when it comes to having a better life in general, but just being here on the platform, especially if you're another creator as well, is knowing yourself, understanding yourself, but really knowing yourself, not just being oh yeah, I think I like this, but who are you as a person? And it sounds weird because everyone's what do you mean I'm so and so? It's yeah, but what are you? What do you like? What don't you like? What are your interests? You gotta really dig in and really figure this out. And I think this is where people have this issue with this, getting outside your comfort. It's out of that bubble that people put ourselves in. We love to be comfy and safe, but here's the thing: life is ever changing and life is ever moving. So being able to get out of that comfort zone and being able to understand yourself more and be able to find out if you like or dislike something is part of life, I feel and it makes it so you can understand yourself more. And when you understand yourself more, I feel especially when you're a content creator, I feel you can actually expand yourself more with your community, and your community feels you're more closer together because they know you, they understand you, and you understand them. And it makes it so you have this dynamic that's so strong that nobody can take away from you guys. And that's why I feel some people do so well on here, because some people do and they understand that. Some people maybe not so much yet, but you learn each day as well. So it's not you're lost if you don't know how to do that, but you can actually be able to work on it each day and learn and grow. Because if you're not growing, you're not living, you're not understanding. That's what humans do. We grow, we learn, we adapt, and that's the best part about living is being able to understand these things and live your dreams. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. And while your path has started with ASMR and that you've moved away from it, there's a lot of people who've been the inverse. That I know a bunch of people that started out as game streamers but have moved into primarily just chatting or into ASMR. That I know a couple people that have seen people like you or, others who are into that and said, all right, I'm going to try this, and found out, oh, I really enjoy this. I'm really good at this. And that some people who were not ASM artists at all when they began now have ASMR as their primary content. And, there's both sides of the coin, that was your primary content, but now you've very much moved away from it. And both you and those other people are better off for it, because that's part of the growth. That's part of the discovery, the experimentation, finding out what works for you and recognizing sometimes what doesn't.
Exactly. And that's my thing, is that like at the end of the day, do the things that you want to do, because like I know me, like I was saying prior, is that like I haven't completely given up on it yet. I haven't done it in like 2 months, but I need to I've been wanting to jump in more, but it's just there's been so many different kind of projects and stuff we wanted to do, and it's just like time for me is so limited. So I want to do more and I want to expand, but it's like not enough time to be able to do as much. So I try to get the projects that I'm feeling very passionate about right there and then, and that's pretty much it. So maybe when I eventually have more time, or I can, I don't know, put more things in my passions so that, and also have more things established, I might be able to like do more with that, with like different kind of avenues there. But right now I've been in like a transitioning stage to different things that I've been wanting. And not only that, but like sometimes when I'm in different program or in different kind of categories of things on this platform, I feel like I can't really expand myself the way that I want to, because I am very much trying to go outside of, or pretty much go against the grain kind of thing. I want to do different things, and I want to do things that are going to be like different, something that someone's never seen, and I haven't been able to fully go into that yet, but I'm slowly starting to get there. And everything takes time and money, usually. Time and money, but like the thing is that we're getting there, and that's the biggest thing. And again, progress is only measured by how much you feel like that you've grown personally. So the thing is that like it's baby steps. But I'll say this, is that they are steps nonetheless, and they are going forward. So that's all that matters. So even if they're not giant steps, some people do take those steps. But I feel like with what I have, I'm taking the steps slowly but surely. And I'm trying to do it every single day. So it's something that I hopefully eventually can hit all of the goals that I want. So I'm happy. I'm happy with what's going on and where we're at, and with the community that I have. It is beautiful. It is lovely. Everyone is great. And honestly, like I said, we can pretty much do whatever, whenever we want. And the thing is that people stand by me with that, and it makes me feel so inspired and so happy that I can do these things. And I feel so lucky that I can do these things, and I don't feel limited, and people will support me, and that makes me really happy. And I'm a very blessed girl, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and it's very clear that you have found that family that you were looking for, and vice versa, a lot of people have found family in you and others in your community, that there's been just a continuous outpouring of love in the chat tonight, and it's very, very clear that you have succeeded just flying colors in what you set out to do. And it's so exciting to see. Just really, I love seeing people succeed, whether it's slow, fast, that sometimes somebody has like a big break and like everything changes, and it can be a huge turning point for them, or just that slow, steady thing that you check and it's like, they have 20 viewers this day, and that just check in next month there are 35 viewers, check in a little bit later there are 50 viewers, and sometimes it blows up, sometimes it's even slower than that. But if you keep up with it, that you are going to be able to get it if you're able to put in the time. And sometimes circumstance can get in your way, sometimes things out of your control will cause your progress to be slower than others, sometimes painfully so.
Right. You want to know something? In October, I'm not sure if you were around with us during that time with that, but like, this is something for all my people that have been with me for a little bit. You guys saw this part. Things that were out of my control. This was something that was breaking me apart when I was going through October. Because like I said, I am in the military still, and there was supposed to be a emergency deployment that was supposed to be happening, and they sprung it on me in October, and I was supposed to be leaving in like October. So it was like literally like less than a month. And they said you're gonna be on for 6 months, and they didn't tell me anything. And the first few days when they told me that, I was so sad. I was like I was calling them like my little sad sleeps, pretty much, where I was just like laying in bed. I was like depressed as all hell. And I was just like, because in my head I was working so hard to make it so that I can make all this happen, and things were happening, new things were going on, and then all of a sudden that went on, and I was like, in my head I was like, you motherfucker, I can't believe this. Like, I was so mad that I was like, all this work that I'm doing and I have to like put it on hiatus for 6 months, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I wasn't sure. I was just so like, I'm like, would I be able to make content still? Like, am I going to be like limited? And like my community, like, and here's the thing, a lot of people don't, and for right reasons, of course, they don't know how military life is. Like, you can just randomly get picked up like that sometimes, and it sucks sometimes. Unless that's something that you like, if you enjoy going around and seeing the world and stuff, that's great. And don't get me wrong, I do too, but right now was not the time. And I was just like, this is something that I don't want to do. And I had all these new plans. Actually, I think I just recently got on or closer on that. And I was like, I had all these new goals and things set up, and everyone's like, yeah, let's do that. And it's like, guess what? So it was really a hard time. And there was something that I was like, it was sad. It was sad. And I just didn't know how to really handle that at first. And then I got over it, and I was like, look, we're going to do the very best that we can do for this whole month. And pretty much we streamed all the time, constantly just going like, we were like really pushing in those hours. We were doing some crazy stuff, and I was trying to collab and see all my friends. And then when the moment was getting close to that moment there, and like I was saying prior, I don't talk about it too much because I don't want people to be like, oh, woe is me kind of thing. Because I'm not like that. I have issues, but I don't like being like, I have this problem, guys, give me money kind of thing. Because I've seen people like that, unfortunately. But like my thing is that like I have like a heart problem. Like I have an irregular heart. Like so like it has issues. Every 4 or 5 hours I always have to take meds. Which, speaking of which, getting close to that. But right now we're okay. But I have to take some medication.
Yeah,
so that it
if you
doesn't
need to
freak
step
out.
away to like go to the bathroom, because we've been at it for over 3.5 hours now. So if you need to step away, get a drink of water, use the restroom, take meds, just let me know that I have a be right back screen, or if you want to call it at any time, that let me
Well, I'll
know.
probably have to call it semi soon just because I still have a couple more things in my community to do still tonight. But like not yet. I still have at least like another 20-30 minutes if
Okay.
you still have time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, I don't talk about it too much, but like it's something that I mean it's definitely there. And it's like clockwork. Everyone always sees it. It's like, yeah, it's about that time, isn't it? I'm like, yep, I know. So I but with that being said, the military pretty much at the last minute was like, hey, you're not going. I'm like, what? So and again, so they
Yeah, I was
changed your
about to say,
life
well, you're
so
here now,
fast.
so we know how this story ends, and like that
Yep.
that has to have been a freaking roller coaster.
Yep, it was back and forth. And then for a while, they weren't sure yet. And I was like, okay. Like, so they were juggling my life around so much just to tell me that, which this isn't good news either. But they're like, yeah, your heart's in a little bit of a worse condition than what it used to be. So they're like, we don't want you over there. I'm like, cool, I get to stay here. But then I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, how bad? How bad are we talking? So, and so it was like this like double-edged sword. It was like I got to stay, but I'm like, so again, health problems and stuff like that, like not a fan of talking about. It's not really something that I'm like, yeah, this is happening, guys. Like, look, for the people that have been here, they know already. But like most of the time,
Savvy's heart is too big.
and I was about to go out and get another one, but that's besides the point. God,
Too
I
much
just
love, too much compassion, can't be
too
contained.
much. Yep, it's gonna blow up. Isn't that great? Isn't it? No, but like I think to myself that like I rather when I'm on and when we're here, I as much as and I don't mind talking about sadder things or things that are like yikes, like that kind of that's a deeper topic. But like when it comes to me, anything about me, like I'll throw that away. I'm like, no. Like, because my thing is that like, I want to be here for you guys. My stuff I'm handling on the back burner of everything. Like I've been on my own for forever, so I'll handle me so that I can pretty much get there. But I like to worry about you guys. What's going on with you guys? How is my family doing? What can I do to make sure that things are fun for you guys? That's all I give a fuck about. Everything else I'll handle when I'm offline. So it's like, and that's something that I'm personally trying to make sure that I like let people know. And that's actually why when I was talking about Iron Man stuff, like that's actually I saw her. She was one of my first ones I ever watched, and I thought it was really interesting. I'm she's one of my favorite bigger like VTubers to watch, and just she has so many health issues too, and she still can do so many good things. And I think about my crap that I have to deal with and stuff, and like I'm like, I think I can relate with it a lot with that, and it's just something that I'm anybody that has any kind of extra issues and still goes all out and above, um compared to like people, not saying that compared to people that are healthy, I mean good on you, but it's like people that don't have to deal with some of the other issues such as mental or even physical problems like that, I mean, and can still do amazing things and pretty much show everyone that you can no matter what. It's so impressive, so inspirational, to be honest. And it's things that make me want to keep doing more. Like I have no excuse, especially if I want this, which I do and 100% do. So I like this, I love what I do, and I love the people that I'm with, and this is a great community.
Yeah, and like you said, that there's a number of other content creators who are open about having similar issues, and it's, like you said, very inspiring to see that just that people are able to still have these types of outlets. And that's going back to things that we've discussed earlier, just technology allowing people to have these outlets. The fact that someone, even if you're bedridden, can do something like this, that you can have a model, that you can be creating content, and obviously some days might be better than others, but rewind the clock 10, 20 years even, and you don't have this option at all. But now that it offers the avenue of socialization, community, family, and just creativity, and that outlet that wasn't there before. And that's one of the great things about not just VTubing, but streaming and content creation and the internet as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I am a lover of art. This is an art form in a way for lots of people, and I love to watch it. I love to watch. I even like it inspires me. It inspires me to do so much, and to hear people's stories and stuff, like a lot of real life stuff, or even stuff that's hard to hear sometimes, is usually a lot of taboos for a lot of people, or they don't want to. And again, there's a time and a place for certain things. But I will say there that for the people that do talk a little bit about like some of the things that go on like that, I relate with you guys so much. And hell, if anything, I tend to tune in more. I feel like I get more of a connection with people, and that's something that just in general is very big for me. People that put like their love, sweat, tears, and everything that they do is so inspirational, and I love it. And there are many of people like that. And I know for me, there is nothing, well, just about nothing that I will keep from anyone here. I'm an open book. The person that's here, the person that's talking, the person that's telling you stories that are deep, the same person on the outside. And that's something that I know there's different kind of VTubers, but that's me. I'm a real, like I tend, if anything, I have a character, and then there's me. That's pretty much it. So there's no difference really. Like there's but I like it like that. I like it like that. This is my way to express myself, and this is how I am. And I use like the fun stuff with VTubing to be able to make it so that I can stream better. And that's something that I like a lot. But in general, what I say is what's happening, and I like that. I like to be open, and I know not everyone likes that, but honestly, I don't care. I don't care. It's like,
Like we
if you don't,
said, there's a VTuber for everyone, and if that's not for
absolutely.
you, there's others that don't go into that stuff. But
Mhm.
if you do, Savi's here for you.
Absolutely. And but like again, I think it puts out a sense of relatability. Like, hey, we're all human at the end of the day. Like, and that's something that I like to make sure people know. It's that like your favorite VTuber, or your favorite person that you watch stream, is a human just like you. So they are doing, or enemy, I guess, in this situation, but like they're having struggles, they're having things that they're working through, they're doing things that are hard, and things that like you're like, there's no way that I can do it. It's like, yes you could. Yes you could. It depends on if you want to do it. And that's the thing, is that I try to make sure that people understand that, like, I tell you these things not to worry, but to know that like if there's anything that you guys want to do or want to talk about, or if you're unsure, if you feel like that you can do these things, because I talk about content creation and stuff as well, because it's like you can do these things. Just because you're limited in certain situations, all you have to do is find a way around. If there is a mountain in your path, just go around. It may take longer, but you're going to get there. You're going to get there. And that's the thing, is that never stop going for the things that you want to do, or at least try them. Again, you're never going to know if you're going to do good or not unless you try. And even if you fail, you can pretty much keep getting back up and keep moving forward until you know that you're done, then that's all that matters. But at least you tried. And that's the thing that I try to push on people, is no matter what, no matter all the crap that happens, you can do it. You can do it. I believe in you. Even if you need somebody to help support you, like I'll be there. So I try my best.
You most certainly do. And I do want to be sensitive to your time, so there's just a couple wrap-up questions that I ask most guests, and actually it's getting to the point in the year where I have to slightly adjust them, because what I've usually asked people is, what are your goals for 2021, the rest of the year? Now that we're almost halfway through December, I'm changing things up a little bit. For starters, Savii, what is your proudest achievement of 2021?
That I did it. That I started. That I didn't listen to the other part of my brain that told me to stop and to not ever do this, and to think that I wasn't going to be good enough to do this. I'm glad that I started, and I'm glad that I made this community. My little neck of the woods, I suppose. Everyone that I've met has made me a better person, so I'm glad that I did this. So,
And we're very glad as well.
oh, thank you.
Do you have any particular goals for 2022?
Sky's the limit, honestly. But I think so. There's a lot of goals, but one of the things that a fun one that I've kind of briefly hit a little bit is my third model, but that one probably won't be till a little bit later, because I want this one to be a lot different. And a lot of people already seen like a few sketches, but it might change up a little bit, and then we're gonna have to get it done and everything. So that one probably won't be done until like the end of the year. But other than that, like really just like literally expanding content by like tenfold. And that means everything: music, art, different games, different kind of things. Going into I go into chatting, but I also want to do like different things as well in there. I want to be able to just I want to be able to take this whole thing about doing what you want to do and really throwing it up there and just like doing everything. So I'm excited with that. I don't know exactly what all that entails, but I know that I have a lot of big plans. So yeah, there's a lot of things. There's so much.
Lots to look forward to for sure. And the last question, it's one that I ask all of my guests. What does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not what is the definition of a VTuber, but to you, Savii, what does it mean to be a VTuber? I've had just a huge variety of answers. Some people approach it from a very sort of clinical standpoint of, it is a tool in my toolbox as an entertainer. It is a mask that I wear to create content. Others have a more personal approach of, it lets me be what I can't be. It lets me connect with my inner child. There's any range of things, and there is no wrong answer. But for you, Savii, what does it mean to be a VTuber?
For me to be a VTuber, what this means to me is to be able to make a family that I never was able to have in the real life, unfortunately. But this is my way to be able to make a home, not only for me, but for others around the area, including other content creators, people to be able to have a shoulder for them if they ever need someone to lay on, or be able to listen to if they have a problem. This is my place to be able to make a safe place for people that are here on this platform, because the world sucks sometimes. When the world throws something at you, it's a bowling ball and it's into your face, and you had your mouth open, so all your teeth are gone, unfortunately. However, when you come here onto my channel to hang out and relax, you can forget about that for a minute as you're healing, because it's time to be comfy, relaxed, and cozy. Because like, even if we're being crazy and silly, you know that you have a family of people that support you, and you have people that care about you truly. And if you feel like you can't find that in anyone in our community, which would be surprising because everyone's very loving, you can get it from me. And that's something that that's been my goal since I started. I wanted to find something. I wanted to be able to connect with people, and I wanted to make a place my place. And now that I'm here and I've put my foot here and I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to make it so that everywhere around is better as well. I'm going to make it so that we can connect with others and we can be closer with others. So what a VTuber means to me, I suppose, is family, I guess, and being able to honestly make our world a better place. So that's me.
And I think you are very much succeeding in that regard. That it's been abundantly clear being in
Thank you.
your chat. It's abundantly clear here in this chat tonight that you have definitely succeeded in finding and creating and fostering and growing that family. And I cannot wait to see your new model, to see where you go next year. I'm sure that the best is yet to come. So, as we start to wrap up, do you have anyone that you want us to raid?
Let's see. Oh God, I have too many. Do you have anyone in mind? Oh God, I'm shrinking. Do you have anyone in mind at the moment? Because I'm trying to think. Because I have like plenty on the list. But the thing is that honestly, I can always keep it to host as well.
I do not have anyone in mind. Pick anybody that you like. I'll let you scroll a bit through that as I go through just a little bit of housekeeping. Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk. I do this show just about once a week. This is episode number 44, as weird as it is to say. And I have a guest already lined up for next week. I'm going to be announcing them in a couple of days. I like to let each of the guests have a bit of time to breathe, as it were. And this interview will actually be up on YouTube within a week. So if you missed any of this, you can already watch it as a VOD here on Twitch, but it will be up on YouTube. So you have that after the 2 weeks it goes by and it's no longer available here on Twitch. Be sure to follow Savii, obviously. I just put her link in the chat, and both her Twitch and Twitter links are both here at the bottom of the screen. She does spell her name with 2 I's, but for the URLs, it's 1 I for Savii and then 2 I's with Senpai. So you can find her there. You can find her on a couple other platforms as well. Obviously, it's very clear that many of you are already very familiar with her just from seeing all the emotes going around in chat tonight. But if you're not already following her, be sure to do that. Savii, have you found anybody that you would like us to target with our raid?
Let me see. Hold on. I got you. Here you go. Just you can like copy paste, make it easier. She's a cutie pie. She just did her debut as well. She's one of our friends.
How do you pronounce that?
I think it's Yuri Duri. Yuri Duri. There it is. Yuri Duri. Yuri.
Yeah.
But I'm awful with names. I'm awful with
E-U-R-Y-D-E-R-E.
names. I should probably say that as well. Like, for anyone that comes in my chat, sometimes, like, especially with I do have a learning like disability. I have like well, other than ADHD, I have like really bad dyslexia. So like when I read things, especially with as fast as we go with things, sometimes so if anyone doesn't know, that just means that like words and like numbers and stuff like wiggle. It's really hard to read sometimes. So it's hard for me to like catch things sometimes. So it's usually names because people's names are all the kinds of crazy different in here. So it's hard for me sometimes. So I usually like for instance, like if I have like for instance like Yuri Dairy or that, I just call it Yuri. Just like I'll cut people's names in half and it just makes it easier so that I can catch it. So I hope that no one takes any offense to that. I always worry about that because I'm always like I try to be proper with everyone, but I'm like, ooh. So it's a little much, but I try my best. But yeah, I think it's Yuri Dairy. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, when we raid, you can spam in Savii interview raid or just any emotes you want, regardless if you have Savies or not. Be sure to, carry the love and energy and good vibes along to Yuri Dairy, as we hope we pronounced her name correctly. Savii, anything else before we head out? I cannot thank you enough for being here, for sharing your time, your experiences, your memories, your stories. This has been an absolute joy. I hope you have had as much fun as I have because this has been a blast.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually what I was about to say right there. Thank you for having me, of course. It was a pleasure. And this is I was telling my community, which again, from my community, that all came out. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out again. I know that we have lots of events. Sometimes, actually, really, this should be a shout out to you guys as well with this, is that sorry I'm so all over the place. We do lots of streams, lots of long streams, and we also do lots of events. So anyone that's trying to keep up with everything, I'm so sorry. I just don't sleep very much and I don't do things, so it's I know it's probably hard to keep up with, but thanks for being with me so much, you guys. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot, so thank you. And thank you for having me, because it's again, I've never done I've done interviews, but I've never been an interviewee, so it's it was interesting. It feels nice. I don't know, I was I found it quite fascinating. So thank you for having me. It really means a lot to me, so thank you.
Oh, trust me, it is my pleasure, and I can't wait to see what you do next. But, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. She's SaviSenpaii. I'm Jay. This has been VTuber Talk. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you all next time.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.